The left and terrorism sitting in a tree. Welcome, one and all, to the audio-visual counter-assault. Welcome to the RazörForce Offensive. I am your intrepid host, Razorfist, alongside an officer and a seaman, Taryn Gell. How are you, sir?
Ahoy, I guess.
Avast ye matey. We are not joined today by the double barrel baron himself, Mr. Tactical Hobo, but perhaps he'll join us a little bit later. Hey, Taryn, if this week had a theme, what would you say it is?
Oh my god.
I would say it would be the lefties doing a terrorism. That would be...
Yeah.
It's a day with a sunrise and a sunset, so it's a sure bet that the left are... Hold on. Sorry, I just got a rocket launcher notification. It was really, really loud. You probably could hear that. But it's a day ending in Y, so it's a sure bet the left are doing or planning a terrorism. Why don't we talk about the first of several of those? And of course, Trump, as we'll talk about a little bit later, has formally designated Antifa, among other groups, in fact, specifically the Rose City Antifa, as not just terror groups, but foreign terror groups. We're going to get to all this stuff. The Texas National Guard was deployed to Chicago gang. FBI agents are being fired over the Jack Smith spy scheme. Tons of stuff to get to here today, and plenty of rants. And we are, of course, also going to have the Hassan Piker is a fucking retard minute. So stay tuned for that. Taryn, let's start off with the lefty terrorism du jour, shall we?
Oh, very well. Let us see. Yeah. We have...
I totally forgot that we had those going on there. There we go. And thank you for whoever shot over that rocket launcher, because we'll be getting to all your chats and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. I am sharing the first story. Did you want to...
Before we do, help, it's too much winning from Bumcrack Jones. Godspeed, sir. You got it?
Yeah, it's up. It's ready.
Bitchin'. Acting U.S. Attorney. Today we're announcing the arrest of 29-year-old Jonathan Rindkernecht on a criminal complaint charging him with maliciously starting what became the Palisades fire. Remember when we were told global warming caused the Palisades fire, Taryn?
Oh, I remember being told several times, actually.
Who knew global warming's name is Jonathan Rindkernecht, or whatever the fuck? Nice name, by the way, were your parents paid by the consonant? What the fuck is that surname? But anyway, and I say this is a very, very German person. Yeah, we were told for how long this Palisades fire was all global warming, and that's pretty much been the entire... I mean, gosh, didn't Gavin Newsom literally say that while there were burning buildings behind him while he was standing on the street being interviewed by the press? Did I hallucinate that? Isn't that a thing that happened, RazörForce?
No, he said that before. No, I recall
yeah,
that.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Please do continue. Sorry.
Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. You already read that. The complaint alleges that, I'm not saying that, started a fire in Pacific Palisades.
Taryn's not even going to attempt it.
On New Year's Day. A blaze that eventually turned into one of the most destructive fires in Los Angeles history, causing death and widespread destruction. Among the evidence that was collected from his digital devices was an image he generated on ChatGPT depicting a burning city.
Dude, look at it. Scroll down and look at it. Let's actually click on that and look at this. Were there not just like red flags out the yin yang on this guy? How did it take this long to arrest this dude? That's my question.
Well, I mean, when a fire just starts somewhere and spreads, like it's really difficult to trace that to a single, person or a single house or a single bush that was set on fire.
Yeah, but one of the things that was suspicious about that fire, if you'll recall, is while they were fighting a fire somewhere else, another one started across town. Remember that?
Yeah,
while it was still going on, he was setting more fires, which is... I find it so improbable that with all the helicopters flying around at that time and what nobody saw him on there. Of course, I guess we'll find out how exactly they dropped the dime on this guy, but while we cannot undo the damage and destruction that was done, we hope his arrest and the charges against him bring some measure of justice to the victims of this horrible climate change tragedy. Rinderknecht's initial appearance is scheduled for today at 1:30 p.m. He looks the type. Look at this dude. He looked. He was arrested, get this, in Florida. He wasn't even arrested in California. He ran his ass to Florida. What do you want to bet he wasn't even invading authorities? He was just fleeing the high taxes in California, fleeing the consequences of the shitty politicians he's voted for.
It's just amazing how often this happens, because this is not the first wildfire that has just randomly happened and then has been blamed on climate change. It's been happening all throughout California.
Yeah. Odds he's Antifa.
It might just mean that he's out of his mind and crazy.
Could be.
I don't know Antifa specifically, unless there's some shit on his phone about him shit talking capitalism specifically. But
he was trying to get to Cuba, someone said. I hope that's true. That'd be genius. That'd be absolutely genius. Odds he's Antifa. I don't know, man. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if we're even told much about what was going on with this guy. But I think a lot of us on the day speculated it was likely arson because of the nature of, I think the big tip-off was the thing I mentioned earlier, where they were fighting the fires in one part of that particular neighborhood. And then all of a sudden up on the hill, it was up in the Hollywood Hills, right? All of a sudden another one started. It's like, yeah, okay, this is definitely arson. This isn't just a spark carried on the wind.
I forget what the other neighborhood was that was destroyed. But yeah, there was that. And while this was happening, if you don't, I'm not sure if you recall, there were other fires being started in town. Like his fellow assholes.
Yeah, no, there's video footage of that.
Absolutely. We're starting fires in the city.
Yep, it does. Steinson makes a good point. No way it's Antifa. This was way too successful. Good point. Valid. And well made, sir. Valid. Good point. Oh, hold on a second. My light just went out. If you would actually go jump over to the next story real quick.
Absolutely. One moment, please. Thank you all for joining us. We're very happy to have you all. Let's move on.
All right. Sorry, I got like a light that I'm needing to fix, and so I'm kind of using a halogen lamp thing so that I don't look like I'm in Nosferatu's tomb right now. Although it is the spooky season, it would be appropriate.
Howdy, Tarrant. Oh, hi.
Cascade. And here's the latest. This came out late last night or early this morning. A leftist was arrested Sunday with 200 explosives outside a D.C. church where Supreme Court justices were expected to be.
Interesting.
How many times have the Supreme Court justices had threats on their life now since Roe v. Wade? You remember that shit? They were camped out on their lawns and blocking their driveways and all that kind. They were getting all kinds of death threats. All because they dared to overturn something that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's probably the leftiest lefty to ever step on one of the Supreme Court benches, said should be overturned. Ruth Bader Ginsburg called it shitty. You can go look that up. She wrote an impassioned thesis on why Roe v. Wade was not only illegal, but it actually had set back the pro-abortion, pro-choice, whatever you want to call it, pro-genocide movement. Louis Guéry allegedly threatened to ignite explosives when confronted. He had a manifesto that expressed hatred of Christians, Supreme Court justices, Jews, and ICE. That's a long-ass list, bro. That doesn't leave me. Who's not on the list?
Now, listen to that. Read that back again. Christians, the Supreme Court, Jews, and ICE.
Yep.
That sounds like a fucking communist.
Yeah, that's a straight up Antifa communist.
I shall read this part here. Police. Man arrested at DC Catholic Church had 200 homemade explosives.
This is another thing I found interesting. The sub headline there, if you want to read that.
Supreme Court justices were expected to attend Red Mass at St. Matthew's Cathedral on Sunday. All of them?
Coincidence? It's Red Mass. You may mock that, but Antifa, the version of Antifa that's existed since the 1920s and whatever, has done things like that, right? They've absolutely done the name of this particular holiday obliquely references, red or whatever. And of course, we all know what they do on May Day, right? That's been something that's been recurrent. This is something, believe it or not, that communists do sometimes. It might seem like, reaching or whatever, but that does actually happen and has happened throughout history, believe it or not.
Zed Hero asks something pertinent. What is Red Mass?
I'm not a Roman Catholic. You would have to.
Okay.
It's actually. Why don't you look that up?
Okay.
Red Mass is a Catholic mass annually offered towards all members of the legal profession, regardless of a religious affiliation. So that makes sense. The Supreme Court justices. Okay, so that likely was more because they wanted to get at the Supreme Court justices. But I could see them being drawn to the fact that it's called a Red Mass. Interesting.
Yeah, that's...
sorry, guys. Sorry to Roman Catholics watching or whatever. In the Lutheran tradition, we have a lot of those same festivities, but I don't think we do the Red Mass.
It is just straight up a terrorist. He was going to commit an act of
targeting Supreme Court justices, and not for the first time. We've seen this again and again and again. And the wild thing is, there's leftist Supreme Court justices who were attending that too, right? People who didn't vote to overturn Roe v. Wade. The left are violent. We're just at a certain point where we have to admit we have this perfect storm of an extremely violent left who feel voiceless because the party that's supposed to be carrying their message forward has failed to make the sale in election after election after election. Even some they quote unquote won. They had to rig those elections in order to wind up in office, right? So the party apparatus has essentially failed the political left in this country. Feeling voiceless, what are they doing? They're lashing out. And of course, they've already been bred on all of this violent Marxist rhetoric for how many years? It's a perfect storm. And then you factor in what we're going to talk about a little bit later with China funding a lot of this stuff, and even Russia and foreign actors in essence funding a lot of this stuff. Neville Singham, who's from South America, but now has a residence in Beijing and is a big funder of the Riot Brigade, what they're calling the Riot Brigade. Every time you see an Antifa riot, this guy Neville Singham is funding the damn thing. Not Jewish, by the way, in case you're curious, because this is the internet and apparently that has to be specified. He's a flat out Chinese communist agent, originally quartered, and he's like a billionaire, originally quartered in South America. We really need to do a deep dive on Neville Singham, because that is a rabbit hole and a half. But that is, that's the bad news. Well, I guess it's good news because we apprehended the guy.
Yeah.
But there's some very good news. I don't know about you, Taryn. Are you tired of winning? I'm not.
Never tired of winning. Never
tired. Let's see the Trump statement right here. I want to hear this. Full screen this son of a bitch.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Are you going to work with your administration as the Secretary of State's here? Are you going to work with your administration to designate it a foreign terror organization?
You mean a terror?
Antifa? A foreign terror organization.
Well, has that been done? Pretty close, right? Would you like to see it done?
Yes, Mr. President.
Do you think it would help?
They have foreign links
I'd be glad
all
to
across
do it. I
Western
think it's the kind of thing I'd like to do. If you'd like, does
Middle
everybody
East.
agree? If you agree, I agree. Let's get it done. Okay? Let's get it done. Martha, we'll take care of it.
Mr. President.
That's international, you mean?
Yes.
International.
Mr. President.
Sounds good to me.
Foreign terror organization.
Steve, you okay with it?
Yes, it's true. There are extensive foreign ties, and I think that would be a very valid step to take.
Good, I think so too.
Yes.
Good, I think it's a good point. Thank you.
Are you?
Nice.
The based!
true. They're all throughout Europe. They're getting their money from foreign interests.
100%. China spends a lot of money on this. This is not a domestic political movement. It was not a domestic political movement in the time of the House Un-American Activities Committee hearings. Excuse me. It wasn't a domestic political movement in the time of McCarthy. It was funded by the USSR. If you watch my Hollywood Was Always Red video and my McCarthy video, I talk about the actual numerical figures. Up until, well, after the Berlin Wall fell, the records of the KGB were opened, and we learned that the CPUSA and all of its offshoots and all these domestic communist organizations were being funded to the tune of millions of dollars the entire time the Soviet Union existed. So basically, there was no domestic American Communist Party at all. They were planted and created by the Soviet Union. And when the Soviet Union fell, make no mistake, China picked up the bit. It's not called the Comintern anymore, but the CCP funds all this stuff now. So these are foreign terror organizations. They have foreign terror funding. And it's nice to see this finally acknowledged, hence the title of today's podcast. This is victory lap time for me, because I've been talking about this for a long time. We have had one half of a Cold War going on with China. That's what's been going on. China's recognizing, and they talk behind closed doors in open terms about how they are in a Cold War with the United States of America. We just are clueless about the fact that we're actually in one. This has been apparent for a long ass time. Nobody wants it to be a hot war, but we are definitely in a Cold War, flat out. China is spending too much money in an attempt to subvert us. A lot of the shit on social media, a lot of the bot activity. We know Beijing bot farms are a big thing. I think is an attempt to break the power base and the voter base of MAGA. I really do. I think that's what a lot of that stuff is, they're pushing on topics that are intended to get certain members of the right positioned against others. Because make no mistake, they recognize that if Trump is weaker, then his party is weaker, then his government is weaker. He won't be able to get his people reelected, which means the midterms, it goes bad, which means China gets more of what it wants. This is very simple logic, guys. This isn't some vast web of conspiracy. Nobody's got pins and strings in a great big whiteboard anyway. This is common fucking sense. And if you deny it, you deny basic reality, period. But that wasn't the only story. Actually, as they've talked about this, as they have designated Rose City Antifa and some of these other organizations as terror groups, did you see the story about the Antifa leaders fleeing the country? This is how much of a not foreign terror organization they are. Their leaders are leaving the country after this news came down. Antifa leaders flee America as Trump cracks down on domestic terror networks.
I definitely want to read this one.
Please zoom in. Yeah. So everyone can read this.
There we go. Several high-profile Antifa leaders have fled the country or are actively making plans to abscond overseas. News of their escape comes after President Donald Trump designated Antifa as a domestic terror threat and directed federal authorities to dismantle terrorism networks operating within the United States.
This is just the reaction to the domestic threat. The video we just watched is him talking about naming them an international terrorist organization, a recognition, and really the first major one, that they're funded by China. They're funded by foreign communist entities.
Mark Bray, a financier of transnational Antifa operations and Antifa's foremost thought leader in America, announced he is fleeing to Europe, settling in Spain specifically, odd choice, under the pretext of safety concerns following negative media attention. Before his departure, Bray issued an apparent call to action urging widespread militancy.
Right. Odd. How can he be a leader of just an idea, Taryn? That's my question. I wonder.
Only mass anti-fascism, legal or not, can save us.
Anti-fascism has been code since the 1920s for communism. And the original Antifa was a communist organization. The current one is a communist organization. And behind closed doors and at their cocktail parties or their red cup Heineken parties, more like, they will actually concede this fact. They won't do it before rolling cameras, but it's the truth.
And apparently he declared this on Blue Sky.
Of course.
Bray, an assistant professor at Rutgers University.
Sorry, Taryn, I just died of shock. He's a professor at a university.
Will continue teaching classes.
Is there a single item on the commie cliche checklist this asshole has not checked off? Like, if this motherfucker works at Starbucks, I'll shit in my hat.
I'm willing to bet he started out as a hippie too.
Right.
We'll continue teaching classes on terrorism and the history of anti-fascism remotely, despite a Change.org petition from students calling for his firing. Derisively dubbed Dr. Antifa by critics on
shittiest
campus.
Mega Man villain ever. He has a doctorate in Antifa. I wonder how much tranny porn you have to watch to get one of those.
Bray openly supports far-left violence in his academic work. Bray's book Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook, is a how-to guide intended to serve as operational reference material for stamping out so-called fascism. Half of his handbook's proceeds are funneled to the funding arm of Antifa International, which financially supports hundreds of affiliates around the world, including...
How does again, just an idea, have a Antifa International? It's just an idea, but it needs a bank.
And it needs funding for all of its branches around the world.
If you guys can't see, if you don't understand now how all those pallets of bricks turned up at the BLM rallies in 2020 during the Summer of Love, no illumination can come to you, my friend. If you haven't gotten it by now, you never will.
By way of its bail fund, Antifa International pays for an array of expenses, not just legal defense fees from riot-related tactical gear to emergency relocations. Jesus Christ.
Yep. Emergency relocations. As a precaution, Antifa International has since shut down its donation infrastructure, quote, to protect our donors and recipients. Interesting. The announcement mentioned relocating operations due to Trump's edict, suggesting that the global group's fundraising apparatus is based in the United States. I love when they accidentally admit shit like that just through running their mouth. I love that shit. Commies always do that. Antifa International accepts donations through standing campaigns on Patreon. Patreon, who has deplatformed how many conservatives? Can you even count that high? They were part of the big defunding and deplatforming wave that happened after the election of Joe Biden. Remember that?
Yeah.
Fundraiser and Action Network, all American fundraising sites. I'm sure Indiegogo has been part of that too. Trump's clampdown on Antifa includes prosecuting as co-conspirators individuals suspected of providing material support to terror-listed criminal enterprises. U.S. intelligence officials are also investigating Antifa's international ties and working toward a foreign terrorist classification for Antifa abroad. Oh, was it good for you? Is it good? Yeah. You want a cigarette? I could get smoke them if you got them, RazörForce. This is fantastic. You think you're excited? Feel my nipples.
Under U.S. anti-terrorism law, sponsors of foreign terrorists face up to 20 years behind bars, and the federal government can freeze assets, cutting off the funding flow as part of the counterterrorism sanctions.
Yep. Yep.
It's finally happening.
I know. Bray is not the only expat among Antifa's ranks seeking shelter in foreign countries. Independent reporter reporter Christian Peterson recently found the leaders of Rose City Antifa. We hear about these guys quite now. Rose City Antifa, were they part of the concrete milkshake thing and Andy No and that whole thing?
That does sound familiar. Yeah.
Or was that Portland? Rose City is in Seattle, so I could be wrong. Anyway, whatever it is. The most notorious American Antifa cell hold up in Europe. Carolyn Victorin, one of the founding members of the Portland-based Antifa. Oh, it's Portland. Nope, it is Rose City Antifa. I got mixed up. Emerald City is Seattle. The Portland-based Antifa faction was discovered this week hiding with her husband, Johan Victorin, a Swedish-born activist and another Rose City Antifa architect in the coastal town of Varberg, Sweden. You go back, and it's hilarious because, dude, when you and I were growing up and our teachers were doing the unit finally talking about the different forms of government, I remember this vividly. In sixth grade, we finally learned what socialism is. Remember this? And I'll never forget turning to the page, and it's socialism is like they talk about communism and it's in negative terms, but then you get to the page on socialism, and there's this picture of a bunch of beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed Swedish girls like sitting around a long table at a restaurant, smiling at the camera. Yeah, oh, this is fantastic. Yeah, right? And it's the entire description is, it's basically when you're rich and Scandinavian. That's what socialism is. It's like, there's a darker side of this, of course. We enabled the Swedens and the Norways for all those years. Even the right conceded the argument that Norway and Sweden were prosperous, even though it was us paying a lot of their NATO obligations and, of course, the offshore oil reserves. In the case of Norway, that were actually kind of bankrolling that. But we conceded that argument for so many decades, and look what it has wrought. The leaders of Antifa need to flee somewhere. Where do they immediately think of? Fucking Sweden, the communist shithole. Of course. Jesus Christ. Let's see here. Together as co-founders of Rose City Antifa, the oldest known Antifa chapter in America, the Victorins reportedly had helped import the European model of anti-fascist extremism into the U.S. Again, don't even play with that anti-fascism bullshit. It's just another name for communism. I'm actually, You know what? While you continue to read this, I'm going to grab a real quick reference that I have. If you could hold down the fort for just a second, real quick reference of some of the names of communist front groups in the 1940s and 30s. And you guys are going to notice a through line to organizations like Antifa and the anti-fascist organizations that are all communist fronts today. So if you guys will give me just a moment, I'll be right back.
Peterson, a Swedish investigative journalist covering far-left radicalism, confronted Johan Victorin, who has dual citizenship, outside their residence and asked whether the couple fears federal prosecution in the United States. "You are a citizen of the United States. Are you afraid of being convicted of conspiracy yourself?" asked Peterson. Victorin refused to comment. And there's a post from Christian saying, "After the Trump administration designated Rose City Antifa as a terrorist group, I can now reveal that its founder has resurfaced in Varberg, Sweden. Early this morning, I approached Johan Victorin for comment on the designation and whether he fears prosecution."
Tjenare Johan, jag har lite frågor om Rose City Antifa som du var med och grundade. Så ni bakom mordet på Charlie Kirk?
Oh!
Du är ju medborgare i USA. Är du rädd för att själv dömas för conspiracy eller?
I did not see this. No, keep going, dude. I want to see this. This is worth
Varberg,
watching.
Halland för att försöka få en intervju med Johan och Caroline Victorin som grundar den numera terrorstämplade vänsterextrema våldsgruppen Rose City Antifa i Portland, USA.
By any means necessary, they say, can mean outing a white nationalist at their work, or, as we've seen recently, violence. fires, property damage, hand-to-hand combat.
You have to make it so unpalatable to be doing white supremacist organizing that they no longer want to do that.
För 5 år sedan så infiltrerade journalister från Project Veritas Rose City Antifa där de bland annat kunde visa att Johan och Caroline hade byggt upp gruppen med kunskaper från den vänsterextrema miljön i Sverige där man aktivt tränade sina anhängare att göra sina politiska meningsmotståndare blinda. Gruppen ligger bakom en rad våldsattacker mot poliser såväl som republikanska politiker. 2020 var Rose City Antifa involverade i de ökända BLM-upploppen där federala byggnader sattes i brand och en våldsvåg svepte över stan.
Also, I think some of them currently are involved in lighting like ice or attacking ice facilities, shooting at them, some of the explosions and stuff. Some of the footage that I've showed in some of my rants is from Rose City Antifa attacking ice facilities, or at least they're dimly involved in that. But anyways, continue.
Antifa, they were getting this trade craft from someone else, someone with much more experience, someone who did this for a living. Caroline, which is the founder of RCA, moved to Sweden with her husband, who is a dual citizen. What is Black Bloc? The term is used to a tactic in which individuals conceal their identity to look uniform so that no one can be identified in an act of a crime. With RCA, it seems...
Here's you know what's always made me laugh about that is you look at Antifa and they're all pretty much the same anyways. Only the hair colors change. Like if we had a sea of Starbucks baristas, could you name a single one of them or tell a single one from another? Let's be real. They're like conforming to non-conformity. But anyway, continue.
Company.
Practice things like an eye gouge. It takes very little pressure to injure someone's eyes.
Nu efter mordet på Charlie Kirk så gick Rose City Antifa ut helt öppet och hyllade mordet. Och det är också en av anledningarna till att president Trump nu har signerat en exekutiv order där man har terrorstämplat Antifa i USA. Vilket också nu öppnar upp för ytterligare brottsutredningar. I USA så är det olagligt att grunda en kriminell organisation och både Caroline och Johan riskerar att åtalas för bland annat conspiracy. Så planen är att vi ska försöka få en intervju med Johan när han går ut genom dörren och försöka få svar på våra frågor.
I'm sure that'll go well.
Rädd för att åtalas nu av en amerikansk domstol.
Amazing. This guy's doing God's work.
Brottet conspiracy i USA innebär att 2 eller flera personer bestämmer sig för att begå ett brott. Redan överenskommelsen tillsammans med en handling i riktning mot planen räcker för att dömas. Och straffen, de är hårda. Upp till livstidsfängelse för allvarliga brott som till exempel terrorism, även om huvudbrottet aldrig genomförs.
And they have unmistakably committed conspiracy on numerous occasions. The difference was under Biden and some of the previous administrations, we had a 2-tiered justice system, which we still do to a large degree. Make no mistake, there's a lot of work left to be done. But they had no fear of reprisal. Is there any... This guy, like if Biden's still in office, this guy is not only not running from this cameraman, like he's admitting to it openly. And he's probably not even in Sweden. Right? He's probably still in America. Let's be real. These people's fortunes reversed very quickly after the 2024 election. Like they probably have whiplash from this shit right now. Continue to the end because we've only got like 30 seconds left. This is fascinating. I haven't seen this yet. This is a Veritas thing, apparently.
Oh, and I see you brought him up. Hi, China Uncensored. How you doing?
Yes, he says, has anyone checked in on the Nothing Ever Happens chud? Godspeed, bro. Black body bags for black pillars, folks. I made that rant years ago. It is aged like a fine Cabernet.
Johan, jag har lite frågor om Rose City Antifa som du var med och grunda. Du blev ju avslöjad av Project Veritas, både du och Caroline.
Nice jogging suit, Jag. Off of you, John Ritter and Three's Company. Come and knock on a door.
Johan, skulle man kunna få en kommentar om terrorstämplingen av Rose City Antifa? Du är ju medborgare i USA. Är du rädd för att själv dömas för conspiracy, eller?
Well, there you have it, folks.
Good times. So here's some of the names of Hollywood front groups, just a few here. These were later exposed as being flat out Soviet-funded groups. One you're going to recognize because we had another story I didn't even include here, where a number of celebrities have decided to reform a group called the Committee for the First Amendment. This is a communist front group. After the Soviet Union fell, we learned it was irrefutably proved, but we already pretty much knew it was exposed that the Communist Party USA, their lawyers had actually founded the group Committee for the First Amendment. And they stood in solidarity with a accused communist filmmaker during the House Un-American Activities Committee, and a bunch of them. We're talking like Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart and a bunch of people. Robert Montgomery. They all went down and sat in the chambers of Congress and in solidarity. And then that very day, after everybody took a seat, one of the senators grabbed a paper and said, right here, I have the names on the checks of your organization, and it's 2 lawyers who work for the Communist Party USA. You, ladies and gentlemen, are part of a communist front group. And every celebrity in the chamber went, oh, fuck. Some of them were legit commies, but others, like Humphrey Bogart and whatever, they had been duped. So Humphrey Bogart wound up having to write a famous article in Photoplay magazine, I'm no communist, basically refuting all of this. So the Committee for the First Amendment would be a very famous example. And is communist anywhere in that name? Committee for the First Amendment. No, you attach what you are to something positive. We're the anti-bad guy squad. And you attach your enemies to something negative. Oh, anyone right of Chairman Mao, you're fascist. That's something that already has a negative connotation to it. We're the good guy squad. You're the bad guy squad. Therefore, I can't be the bad guy. So, Committee for the First Amendment. Wait, here's another one, and I bet they would reform this too. The Hollywood Anti-Nazi League. Go look that up. Hollywood Fights Back. Hollywood League for Democratic Action. I'll stop there, but you get the idea. These people never call themselves what they actually are. Antifa is not anti-fascist. They are pro-communist, which is why they would change on a dime if there were a fascist socialist organization that they could ally with that became a funding base that would actually ally with them. And you know what's the proof of that? History. History is the proof of that. When Hitler allied with Stalin, all the Hollywood front groups that had been anti-fascist changed their names. They stopped being anti-fascist. They became the Committee Against War. Let's not make war against Hitler. Let's not make war against Mussolini. Their Nazis are brothers in socialism. No shit. These statements were made at the time. And this is one of the reasons, by the way, that we wound up getting whistleblowers for communists. It's why we wound up having the House Un-American Activities Committee hearings, is because former communists realized, we're allied with fascists now? What the hell is this? You told me you're anti-fascist. So they turned whistleblower, which is instructive, by the way. We are going to need, and I understand the need to impose purity tests sometimes to gatekeep a little, but we are going to need whistleblowers from the left to really nail these assholes to the wall if history is any guide. So we should keep that in mind. Sorry, I went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but that was a fascinating video, dude. That was I had no idea about that. Actually, we should probably get to a few of these super chats because holy crap, we got some great ones. Necromancer, Andy No is one of the last journalists. True. All right, sweet. Primark, Portland would be an all right town with Antifa gone. It's fascinating to me that they make such a big deal out of ICE because it's like the Hispanic population in Portland isn't even in double digits. It's like single digit percentages. Trust me, nobody is being deported from a Portland ICE facility because there's no Latinos to deport. But that's what makes it a soft target. You got a city full of leftist commies. Oh, look, nobody's going to oppose us, right? So let's just attack that. We got a corrupt justice system. We got a Democrat mayor, Democrat governor. They're all just this side of socialists. They'll all fight for our right to party. Why the hell not? It makes them a soft target. Condottiero. Wonder if any Antifa cells act in the U.S. also had assistance from Argentina's previous government. They were so close to China, they allowed a huge base to be installed in Argentine territory. Also wondering if Venezuela's TDA could have ties with them too. That would not surprise me. Argentina undergoing quite the metamorphosis right now. It's really encouraging to see what's happening in Argentina. And boy, does the reversal in Argentina piss off the commies in Argentina. and it pisses off international communism a lot. They're getting, if you want to preview, if you wanted to kind of be able to predict the sort of violence that we're witnessing from the American left right now, you really needed to look at Argentina, because you would have gotten a sneak preview. As the fortunes of the communistic left in Argentina began to wane, they got more and more riotous and violent, which they still are. They're getting more and more riotous and violent. They put out, what was it, a couple of months ago, I want to say? They put out like a hit or a death threat or something on the head of one of the conservative parties or something. I mean, dude, it's getting crazy out there. It's getting absolutely insane out there. So if you want a little bit of a preview of where we're going, Argentina, good country to look at. Evil Bunny, to your Cold War topic. I think that if China moves on Taiwan, there are indications they potentially will. It'll quickly go to a warm or hot war instead of cold. Well, obviously, we would be obliged to protect Taiwan. And as isolationist as I am, I would support us militarily supporting Taiwan. That's China. That's real China. And more importantly, we have inked agreements with Taiwan that we will protect them if they are attacked. So the US's word, which is already worth jack shit, would be worth even less if we didn't move to defend them. Where do you fall down on that issue, actually? Because that is an interesting question to ask. I think a lot of even the anti-war people who don't want us, rightly, to be funding so much of Israel's military and all the adventurism in the Middle East, I'm right there with you guys. A lot of them would sign on for defending Taiwan. How do you feel about that?
100% for a couple of reasons. One being going up against China, like, sign me the fuck up. Ending communism would be a great thing. But two, I mean, they also have like some of our biggest, the biggest tech companies in the world, NVIDIA being at the top of the list. So we kind of have to protect that. But it's also, morally and ethically correct that communists come after Taiwan. We should probably put it into that. We didn't get to with Hong Kong.
Norm Al Man, can we get Cicero's reaction to the Hassan dog situation thing? Should we?
Oh, I mean,
should we? I actually have a word on that real quick, if you guys don't mind, if you'll indulge us.
When you press a button, something awesome has to happen.
Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby.
I'm so sorry for that.
No, you're not.
I don't know. I don't even. Hassan is innocent, folks. He didn't have a shot collar remote. The dog's just gay, and Mike Pence was just standing out of frame. That's all that was. He was going to shock the gay away. Let his gay dog live its best life, I say.
We have shocking new footage on this situation.
Do we?
All right, come here.
Looks like she got her revenge.
Oh, this is why AI was invented. It also really emphasizes that AI is not going to take over real life footage anytime soon, because none of these look real.
For those of you who are left wondering what the hell is going on, Hassan, everybody knows Hassan, everyone's favorite Turkish communist. He's got during his broadcasts, which can go on for hours on end, like even longer than we go.
The dude streams like all day, every day.
Has a dog named Kaya who sleeps in the background, oddly, throughout most of his broadcast. And now we know why, because in a recent broadcast, what we call Dogtober 7th.
Do we? I do now.
Kaya tried to move, and he shocked her with a shock collar, and it is a shock collar. In a follow-up video the next day, he tried to show it.
Oh
and
my
say,
God.
Oh, it's just a vibrating collar.
What?
Like, are you no, we're not dumb. We're not dumb.
And here's the thing that's amazing about that. The dog, it's not like it's a damn Doberman or something. You need a shock collar to control that dog? The fuck?
No,
what breed is this?
And then, of course, additional clips have resurfaced of him speaking about shocking his dog and treating other dogs very poorly. It all comes out eventually.
Now, if I know my Gold Dust storylines, this means the dog will have Tourette's syndrome now. You ever seen those interviews?
Yes, of course I have. I watched them live.
Yes. You know, deep down in the cockles of your heart that you can't beat me. Sorry, better times in professional wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so did you actually have the footage or not?
What?
Of course, I guess we just saw the actual footage.
No, I don't have the actual footage of him shocking his dog. Do you want me to actually find
No, we don't need to see that. On second
yeah.
thought, we really don't need to see that. But that is our thought. And I think this should be a new running segment. The Hassan Piker is a fucking retard minute that may or may not go on for 30 plus minutes.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of retardation to cover, gang. Condottiero again. Salud, RazörForce. I'm sending a small sum in RG pesos, but just wanted to thank you for the amazing video Hollywood was always red. Pardon me. And the excellent Metal Mythos series. Cheers from Buenos Aires. Godspeed and viva libertad, carajo.
Now, you'll notice he donates 2,000 of Argentina's dollars there.
I can get at least one fun-size candy bar for that, I'm sure.
No, you can't. That's a really easy way of telling how communists have fucked up their economy. That is exactly $1.40. Nice.
Did you look it up?
Yes, I did.
Genius. That's freaking great. That is absolutely great. Dustin the Grim gives Cicero a hug and cherish him. Always do. Hoping a certain streamer gets a shocking necklace of his own one day. Yeah, like the Nelson Mandela kind of necklace, I'm thinking. Matthew Hammond, have you seen the WWF AI videos? Michael Jackson. Yeah, what is that? None of them are particularly funny, and they don't look real either. Matthew Pickard. Oh, hello, Reza. No mind me. I simply enjoy your videos. Pay no attention to the political affiliation. I merely a fan from China and nothing more. Well, God the fucking speeder. It slowly turned Japanese there. Not that kind of turning Japanese. Marushia Dark, there's an Edema song about how shitty LA is. Isn't there, though?
It's going to be a couple of those.
Copperhead Snake. Bet he blamed that empty water reservoir on global warming, too. I tend to think that may have had a little something more with all of the damage. The fact that your fire hydrants were damn empty. Jonathan Chadwell. Thank God my surname is British. Yeah, it could be like Chadwell Oxenfordshire. And like all of the vowels would be silent for some reason. Seth Ritchie, howdy from Albuquerque, probably more corrupt than Portland and Chicago could ever dream of. Please pray for us, RazörForce. It's true. Albuquerque, New Mexico, dude, is so leftist and corrupt, but it's like the stakes are lower because their economy's smaller and their population's smaller, so nobody really pays attention to the fact that they're essentially the Soviet Union. It's awful, dude. Andrew McGraw, can you imagine having the gall to tell the U.S. president not to enforce law and order because your city prefers crime and chaos? The nerve of these people. Dude, J.D. Pritzker is on the full-on Marxist menstruation tour. Have you been seeing some of the videos of him?
Yeah, I mean, come on. At some point, you just got to give it up and say, hey, look, we're just corrupt. That's just how it is. And
full body cringe, bro. Full body cringe.
It's how we deal with it. And if they don't want me in power, they could just vote me out, right?
Yeah. Bald Barry in 1999 went on a job interview not long ago. Interviewer asked me what my 5-year plan is, and I told her out of my hate of commies, I refuse to use commie terms. She got uncomfortable. I didn't get a second interview. Nothing lost. What's my 5-year plan? You took that much exception to the phrase 5-year plan? I mean, based. Fair enough. Dog, the Azure Nightmare. Dog, what? We need to find his folder. Not that kind of dog vibrator.
This is Hassan we're talking
I think that was
about,
Tyler
not
Robinson's
Vouch.
boyfriend, yeah. Papa Pumpkin, Hassan entering his shock and paw character arc. Yuck. Yuck on that pun. Jegs Dino God, Muslim, atheist, tanky, lib, abuses dogs. Shocking. Hey, at least he's not like most commies in the world and eating them. Norm Alman, would it be possible to ban Islam if framed as a hostile foreign political ideology? Islam is, if you've ever read even portions of the Quran, it's surprising how political a document it actually is. It reads as maybe 3 parts religious text, 1 part political text. And at certain portions of it, it's more like 3 parts political text and 1 part, which is one of the reasons you have constant problems with them blowing themselves up to get to the lightning round. Not that kind of lightning round, Hassan. Emperor Soft Turtle. Taryn, you are debatably not dumb, but Hassan has an audience of tards. Thank you.
It's
John
nice
Orchard.
to have somebody in my corner.
I guess. Razor Fist, are you going to do more of the noir videos where you analyze or dissect older films? Yes. Is it going to be on a separate channel? Please do more. Also, do you ever do appearances? I do appearances. I just don't do them very often because I talked about this when we did our Charlie Kirk, the day that we lost Charlie Kirk and did a stream. I don't agree to live appearances in gun-free zones. So that kind of rules a lot of places out because they do them at convention centers or hotels, and a lot of them are gun-free zones, which is silly for conservative organizations to be doing that. Turning Point or anyone, it's silly. But
we do have an announcement to make. Razor will be canceling his appearance at the Red Lobster next Tuesday.
Yes, I will not be appearing at the Red Lobster, but maybe on Discount Thursday. And yes, I will be doing more noir videos and maybe on a separate channel. It's so different from my normal stuff. I've been debating since I started that series whether or not to just make a separate channel and do it there. Dean, I think with accelerated deportations, we could solve the Islam issue in the U.S. because I'm willing to bet a lot came in illegally with Biden's border. Reverse the refugee policies of the Obama era, and most of that problem goes away without even having to go that far. I think you should go that far, by the way. But if you just reverse the refugee, if you deported all the people who were brought in as refugees under Obama, which was illegal, and he circumvented immigration law in order to do it, he transparently did it in order to permanently change the political makeup of the state of Minnesota, which was already blue, but he basically just wanted Minnesota to be permanent blue. And now it is. Until you address the refugee problem, the fact that he just imported a whole bunch of, and it was silly too, because why would the U.S. be first in line to take those refugees in? The neighboring countries, or countries that are even on the same landmass or anywhere near closer than the United States of America, which is separated by a giant ocean, they should have been first in line. You could tell it was just about changing the political composition of the state of Minnesota on that basis. DRT is king. We have to defend TWJP. Oh, Taiwan. Japan needs it. U.S. needs it. There is no situation in which China takes Taiwan that we aren't put in the darkest timeline known to man. Godspeed. Remember, this entire situation happened because there were communist agents in our own government and in the government of Chiang Kai-shek as well, and in Japan, who sold Taiwan out to the Chinese. And they did that on purpose, and it came out later that they did it. I named them. They worked for the Institute of Pacific Relations, which is a communist front group that worked against U.S. interests and against Chiang Kai-shek's interests as well. Go watch my McCarthy video for more elucidation on that topic, but I named names on that one. Ben Manjurier, Razor, do you know any good books on the origin of fascism and Stalin? People so often use the word and really want to know exactly how clueless they are. Yeah, the gold standard to me is Stephen Kotkin's series of Stalin biographies. They are the size of a doorstop. They are huge, like cinder block sized tomes. It's supposed to be a trilogy, but only 2 of them are out so far. They're fantastic. They're absolutely superb. And the prevailing takeaway from and he was given access to the KGB archives, to all that stuff, the Russian archives, is that they were communist, that the Soviet Union, they weren't play acting as communists, they are communist. And Stephen Kotkin's pretty upfront that the same is true of China from everything that he knows, and he is an expert on the subject. But those would definitely be what I would recommend. Asher Genesius. History didn't start on October 7th. Kaya had it coming. Hassan, probably. It should also be noted that he electrical taped the collar's bottom. Yeah, you didn't even mention that. He freaking hid. Yeah. He hid the little, electrodes? I don't know what you would call them.
Yeah, on the follow-up stream of the next day, he showed, quote unquote, showed the collar.
Yeah.
And there was
if the collar doesn't fit, you must acquit.
There was a fresh piece of electrical tape on the back where typically the electrodes would be, but it's just a vibrating collar. It's not an electrical shock collar.
Yeah.
No.
It's just a vibrating collar with a great big beeper-sized box on the side. Just for the extra vibration. That's all.
For when you want to remotely vibrate your dog.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure why. That brings up even more questions, Hassan. Why? What do you got a vibrating collar for your dog?
Why are you vibrating your dog, bud? And why is the collar hooked on her ass? And pal, you're a Lutheran, you Protestant OG heretic. It's true, we are the OG heretics. A burn. Catholics offer mass for anything and everything. We Catholics see it as our job to do so in order to combat the evil forces in the world. Thank you for weighing in, sir.
His PFP is stone cold. You should have read that as stone cold.
No, it was Sam Hyde stone cold.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Mercenary X on Hassan and his dog. I hope people report him for what he did to his dog. I hope Hassan goes to jail. I think you're only fined for that kind of stuff, unless you're like in a full-on Michael Vick situation.
I'd like to point out that Alinity got suspended for tossing her cat. If Hassan doesn't get fucking
who and what?
This, yeah, she tossed her cat over her head onto her bed and got suspended for that.
I mean,
Hassan shocked his fucking dog. I mean, my God.
And they still haven't suspended. I figured it would have been like an automatic suspension.
Okay. Well, we don't want to be this, the Hassan podcast, but he's gotten away with a fair bit and not been suspended.
Yeah. I don't know. There we go. What can conservatives do to take over education? Restructure education. the system as it exists now is predisposed to court leftists and to manufacture. It's like a leftist manufactory. Like it really is. So it creates leftists and it is staffed exclusively by leftists. And until that structure changes, it will be exclusively peopled by leftists and of the communistic persuasion in some cases. Mercenary X China Uncensored in the chat with confirmation. Godspeed. All the anti-ICE people attacking ICE. This guy with explosives going to the Supreme Court. Forget the National Guard. All branches of the military will be used for martial law. Oh, speaking of which, we do need to talk about this. The Texas National Guard, sir. Do you have that?
Yes, sir. Let me zoom and enhance.
Center and pull back.
Texas National Guard members arrive in Illinois. National Guard members from Texas were at an Army training center in Illinois on Tuesday, the most visible sign yet of the Trump administration's plan to send troops to Chicago area despite a lawsuit and vigorous opposition from Democratic elected leaders. The Associated Press saw military personnel in uniforms with the Texas National Guard patch at the U.S. Army Reserve Center in Elwood, 55 miles southwest of Chicago. On Monday, Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott posted a picture on social media showing National Guard members from his state boarding a plane, but he didn't specify where they were going.
Yep.
There was no immediate comment from the office of Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Although he was still somehow out of breath. I don't know. But the Democrat had predicted that Illinois National Guard troops would be activated along with 400 from Texas. Pritzker has accused Trump of using troops as political props and pawns. He has accused them of being delicious. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson told reporters that the administration isn't sharing much information with the city. This is what's so difficult about this moment. You have an administration that is refusing to cooperate with a local authority, Johnson said Tuesday. A federal judge gave the Trump administration 2 days to respond to a lawsuit. Could you scroll down? Filed Monday by Illinois and Chicago challenging the plan. A hearing scheduled for Thursday. The lawsuit says these advances in President Trump's long declared war on Chicago and Illinois are unlawful and dangerous. You notice how they can't stop using the word war? You remember when Biden went like a good month just repeating the phrase civil war over and over and over again? And it was like, are you warning or hoping? That's the vibe I get from Pritzker and a lot of these belligerents on the state level in blue states like this. And make no mistake, Illinois is not a blue state. It's a blue city with a bunch of outliers outside of it, which is fundamentally, this is why you're not going to address this problem until state level electoral colleges are a thing. Because one city running the entire political system of a state, that's fiefdom. That's not even, you are a vassal at that point. Trump's bid to deploy the military on U.S. soil over local opposition has triggered a conflict with blue state governors. In Oregon, a judge over the weekend blocked the Guard's deployment to Portland. The Trump administration has portrayed the cities as war-ravaged and lawless amid its crackdown on illegal immigration. Did you see that video, by the way, of that cringe lord politician who was like, oh, look how war-ravaged, right? And he's standing on a street corner, and because nobody is shooting fentanyl within 15 feet of him, everything must be fine.
Oh, God.
But meanwhile, there's people posting to social media, hey, look on this street corner. Hey, look on this street corner. Look at this chick about to get raped. Look at this dude, like, pants literally around his ankles because he's doing the fentanyl shuffle and hunched over and whatever. Like, look at this open air fent market. Like, come the hell on, dude. And not only that, but how short do you think our memories are? Summer of Love was 5 years ago, gang. We remember what Portland looked like during the Summer of Love, for crying out loud. Don't bullshit me. The Trump administration has... Oh, sorry, I already read that. Trump has said he would be willing to invoke the Insurrection Act if necessary. It allows the president to dispatch active duty military in states that are unable to put down an insurrection or are defying federal law. And of course, the brinksmanship here started when people started like stepping in the way of ICE vans and shit. These are deportations. It is the federal government's purview to enforce U.S. immigration law. These people are residing here illegally. We are allowed to deport them. They are impeding the process of deportation. This is very straightforward A to B to C logic. This isn't police state. I've seen people comparing this to Lincoln, but it has nothing to do with Lincoln. He's not stepping over the state's purview. It is not the purview of the states to enforce federal, national immigration law. It's just not. It's absolutely not. And if it is, then the governors are violating that same dictum by allowing these people to inhabit here and actually live there, and even giving them welfare and all of the programs that they promised to them in exchange for their votes. If I had to enact it, I'd do that, Trump said Monday. If people are being killed and courts holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up. The sight of armed Border Patrol agents making arrests near famous landmarks has amplified concerns from Chicagoans already uneasy after an immigration crackdown that began last month. Agents have targeted immigrant-heavy and largely Latino areas. The Chicago mayor signed an executive order Monday barring federal immigration agents and others from using city-owned property such as parking lots, garages, and vacant lots as staging areas for enforcement operations. Desperation, thy name is Chicago. Dude, that is just pathetic right there. Oh, you can't be on that street corner. Oh, you can't be in that parking lot. Like, dude,
is this not blatant obstruction?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. It's belligerence at a medium, at a minimum, rather. Bumcrack Jones, help. It's too much winning. Godspeed. Go. To be fair there, I'm looking at these guys, dude. To be fair, is this threatening? The Texas National Guard looks like the Geek Squad from Best Buy. Look at these dudes. Like, I'm pretty sure I once had a LAN party with that guy. I'm pretty sure it was Tactical Hobo, actually. I don't know.
And is that a woman?
Yeah.
Anyway.
How hard did she get rammed by all those dudes? Let's be honest. If you've been in the military, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The chick soldiers, I'm just saying, they're worse than female nurses. They really, really are. But you see lefties, Trump is lowering the temperature. Just look how much ice he's using. Folks, we need to talk about the FBI, because that's the other thing that happened this week. Dude, there's too much to get to. Like, I feel like we're leaving shit out too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, we just can't get to all of it.
My God, like, this week has just been one thing after another after another. All right. We are clean. I love this. I love this statement. We are cleaning up a diseased temple.
Curse Vishnu. Curse Vishnu right now.
Sorry, I have to repeat this for emphasis. We are cleaning up a diseased temple. FBI fires agents over Jack Smith's scheme to spy on Republican senators. Patel confirms that those who acted unethically have been removed. They're not going to be removed. They're not under investigation. They have been removed. Go ahead and go down. We're talking, of course, about the spying scandal, where Jack Smith famously... Well, shoot, we could talk. We'll learn about it in this article, or at least be able to summarize it. The FBI's fired several employees over a scheme by Jack Smith, Joe Biden's special counsel, assigned to run Democratic lawfare cases against President Donald Trump to spy on the communications of multiple GOP senators. It was confirmed just this past week that Smith's entourage, set up to prosecute, convict, and even jail Trump if a way could be found, went to telephone companies with warrants and demanded access to communications records of senators. Here we go. Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Josh Hawley of Missouri, Cynthia Loomis of Wyoming, Bill Hagerty of Tennessee, Dan Sullivan of Alaska, Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, and GOP Rep. Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania. All Republicans. Oh, dry those tears, lefties. Dry those tears. The invasion of their records came at a time when Smith was putting together claims that the January 6, 2021 protest turned riot in Washington actually was a real effort to overthrow the U.S. government, without guns. Install all new officials, take control of its international policy, economy, and much more. Smith's J6 case against Trump, as well as his other claims, ultimately fell apart. No shit. Again, I think Norm Macdonald tied a bow around this. Do domestic terrorists generally respect the velvet rope in the statuary hall? You continue reading. I don't want to read this.
Now, a report at Fox explains the FBI has already terminated employees and abolished the CR-15 squad just one day after it was revealed that several Republicans' private communications and phone calls had been tracked.
Yep.
FBI Chief Kash Patel confirmed the moves. We are cleaning up a diseased temple. 3 decades in the making. Identifying the rot, removing those who weaponized law enforcement for political purposes, and those who did not meet the standards of this mission while restoring integrity to the FBI. I promised reform, and I intend to deliver it.
What the hell, dude? Man, I don't know about you. I said on social media, I feel bad for whoever had to spy on Lindsey Graham. No one should have to see that much gay porn. What do those surveillance reports look like, by the way? Think about that. Think about that for a minute. Really stew in that. 2 a.m. Chamber boy enters. 3 a.m. Senator Graham enters chamber boy. 4 a.m. Audible sound of soft weeping. You know what I mean? Like, no one should have to go there. No one should have to go there.
4 a.m. Cleanup squad arrives.
What? Leave the man alone, guys. He just wants to eat, drink, and dress up as Mary. Don't worry about it.
Here we have a post from Chuck Grassley showing a document that the FBI spied on him, or rather on 8 of his Republican Senate colleagues. And, oh yeah, there's the list right there. Oh, I can't. Oh yeah, I can bring that up. Hold on.
Yeah.
Second. I clicked on it, so I gotta do a thing.
You broke it, you bought it.
We will share this instead.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
We
there's
have
the
official
actual
document.
transcript there. They list them all. You can see Marsha Blackburn on there. I assume those are blacked out phone numbers or something.
Yeah, it's got to
Probably.
be some important information, like identifying personal information. But yeah,
Just remember, folks, Trump prosecuting these pricks is political retaliation. And Democrats would never weaponize a government agency. Give or take the ATF, IRS, DOJ, FBI, NSA, CIA, ABC, 1, 2, 3, you and me, Supreme Court, District Court, Appellate Court, Night Court, People's Court, fucking everything, right? But when Trump does it, it's fucking, it's political retaliation. How dare he? It's a threat to democracy.
Here we have Senator Marsha Blackburn. The Biden FBI spied on Republicans who support Donald Trump. Let's hear what she has to say.
Yeah.
What we know is this, that the FBI under Joe Biden and under Barack Obama, that they exercised activity that they had no authority to exercise. And as Senator Haggerty mentioned, we know what they did in 2016 to the Trump transition team. And now we find out that after the Mar-a-Lago raid, after the indictment of President Trump, they surveil us, people who support President Trump, members who are all Republicans. But it shows you how out of control and rotten to the core and politicized the FBI had become, and how they had absolutely no problem at all whatsoever with political weaponization. We appreciate the information we've gotten today. We look forward to further investigation on this.
There you have that.
You ever think you were actually gonna see? You got to give Kash Patel his flowers when he does something good. I know there's times when people are frustrated with him because sometimes, to me, I don't know about you, but sometimes Kash Patel seems like he's a little out of his depth.
It might be the constant surprised look that he has on his face.
Yeah, dude, the guy looks like freaking Chris Christie is mooning him.
The director himself says, we recently uncovered proof that phone records of U.S. lawmakers were seized for political purposes.
Yep.
That abuse of power ends now. Under my leadership, the FBI will deliver truth and accountability and never again be weaponized against the American people.
Yep.
They track communications of
You're
GOP
welcome, Shadow Sonata. I do what I can.
They tracked the communications of GOP senators. They weaponized law enforcement against the American people. That era is over. We fired those who acted unethically, dismantled the corrupt CR-15 squad, and launched an investigation. Transparency and accountability aren't show more.
Aren't show more.
Aren't slogans, they're promises kept.
Oh, right on. It's just... I try and keep this in mind when Kash Patel disappoints me, and he has. Of all the people in the Trump administration, is there anybody who has a more thankless cleanup task ahead of him than Kash Patel?
It's true.
Like, he is up to his titties in corruption. He's got and he has to question if everybody around here, like, there's not one cubicle occupied in the FBI inhabited by somebody that he knows 100%, 1000% he can trust. So you imagine he's got to keep it close. It's got to be like an Elliot Ness Untouchables situation. There's no way he can confide in anyone. You got to kind of factor that in sometimes when you're disappointed with Kash Patel. Because I've seen people who've said, oh, I always knew he wasn't up to the task and whatever. Who the hell would be? Like, John Rambo wouldn't be up to the task. Dan Bongino gets a lot of that shit too. These guys, they're dealing with some pretty serious headwinds. All right, Jake's Dino God, my guy Tuberville was listed. I'm so proud. Remember when Tuberville was not conservative enough? Apparently he was conservative enough for Biden to spy on. I remember when people on the right were saying, we should have gone with this guy or that guy. It's like, well... Mark Daly, forget admitting we're in a Cold War. After Scalise, Rand Paul, and Kirk, this Cold War is going hot. Obsidian Mug. Honestly, I haven't felt grounded since Charlie's murder and the rising temperature of the left. Anyone else feeling like you can't be in the moment for even a second? Is this what PTSD is like? Look, I'm not even going to BS you. I talked with my pastor about this. And we had a really good conversation about this. He truly believed, and he's a guy who, in his past, he has PTSD from stuff that just in his youth, stuff that he's dealt with in the past. He didn't confide in detail or anything with me, but he's familiar with it and what the reaction is. And he's like, a number of people that I've talked to, like, they're all kind of displaying symptoms of PTSD. How can you witness something that ghoulish? How? And not be affected by it? I think we all, to a degree, have a kind of political PTSD right now, or just a conventional PTSD. I wouldn't doubt for a moment Erica Kirk has PTSD and her poor kids. I wouldn't doubt it for a moment, man. And if they have it, anyone who saw that video could have it. So don't discount that and consider talking to someone if you need to. And certainly take it to the Lord in prayer would be my recommendation. Do you have anything to say on that, Taryn?
I mean, especially, it's one of the things we haven't been able to get to this week. People going so hard on Erica Kirk, like the way she's reacting to it, and people accusing her of the most horrible shit. Of course, she was there. The kids were there. There is some measure of PTSD.
Yeah.
And I mean, my God, what else is there to say about it? Shit has to stop.
Yeah. Michael Letourneau, did you guys hear about Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle saying that Saudi Arabia is more free than America? I noticed no gay comedian said that. That's odd. Well, aside from Bill Burr. Don't they throw your people off the top of rooftops, Bill? Don't they? What the hell? And isn't he in an interracial relationship? Doesn't that carry like a jail sentence in Saudi Arabia? Oh, good times. Dude, the people who think Dave Chappelle is based, I've always just rolled my eyes at. He's a good comedian, good stand-up comedian. A little too anecdotal for my taste. I'm not a big anecdote comedian guy. I like Cosby somewhat, but even Cosby, he gets to sit in a high back chair and listen to Grandpa ramble for my taste. Like, get some punchlines. Hexa Freakea from known Hamas terrorist Hassan Piker. Johnny Be Good. Razor, I just finished the Nocenti Daredevil run and I'm about to start the Chichester run. At what point should I stop and start the Marvel Knights stuff? You should stop when it gets to the Carl Kessel run. The Carl Kessel run comes after the Chichester run, I believe. There's someone in between there, I think. I forget who. But right after that, when it gets to that, you should definitely drop off. Chichester run's underrated. It's pretty good. And then just jump straight to the Marvel Knights, because it's good stuff. All right. The Azure Nightmare, 3 Serbs, 1 with an accordion can tell you what a son Diddy Piker is. Dude, we didn't even get to... We weren't even around when the sentence for Diddy came down. 4 years. 4 years, which I don't have any frame of reference for this. Apparently, that's a pretty heavy sentence for what he's accused of. Like, apparently 4 years was pretty much the max. How does that grab you? How does he grab you?
What? See, now, we all know what happened and what he was involved with, but what were the actual charges? Because is this
trafficking?
Trafficking? Was it like filming people without their consent? Like, they got fucking Capone on tax evasion.
Right.
What are the actual charges that they got him for?
Yeah, I want to say it was trafficking, but I would be open to being corrected on that. My understanding was that it was trafficking. And I guess that does accord, because Ghislaine Maxwell wasn't facing a ton, and she had a ton of charges of it. And now they're talking about pardoning her. If it's in exchange for cooperation, man, that's a tough one for me. I don't know how I feel about the Ghislaine possibility of a pardon. It's just, there's no happy ending here, I don't think. Without Ghislaine Maxwell, you don't get a real Epstein list. You get something that was curated by the Obama administration, and I don't trust a damn document that comes out of the Obama administration. And we can see why. We just talked about how corrupt their FBI. These are some of the same people who were in charge of the Epstein investigation, guys. These are the people who curated and cultivated the Epstein list. We have a living, breathing Epstein list named Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think without offering her something, we're probably not getting a comprehensive list. So it's tough. Like, I don't know how to swallow that, because she needs to pay for her crimes. Granted, she's been in prison, but does that feel like enough? It doesn't seem like she was the madam. Like, she was literally the trafficker for Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah,
I feel like she needs more of a penalty than what she'll get. And yet without her, we're not getting to any of the shitbags in international finance, in politics, any of the very connected people who do need to see the inside of a prison cell.
People need to be reminded that she was just as guilty as Jeffrey Epstein was.
100.
She wasn't just his girlfriend or something like that.
Yeah.
No, she lured in these girls. She helped supply these girls to these people.
Yeah.
But you're right. She is a living list. She knows who the clients are. And I just worry that she's only going to give up a few people and then hope to get her sentence suspended or something.
Right.
I want the entire list. I want everyone who was involved in this, not just like, 5 very important people.
Yeah. A little video game topic here. And actually, you know what? We will then jump into a video game topic after this. Cyan, any thoughts on Expedition 33 being screwed over for Game of the Year at the Golden Joysticks? I guess even making money isn't worth it to these companies anymore. Was making money worth it ever to any of these woke-ass companies over the last several years? Plus, awards are picked by who? Who? The like 5 remaining game journalists. Do you trust a damn word that comes out of their mouth or a single opinion they have rattling around in that empty coconut? Does anybody? How did the snub of Expedition 33 hit you, Taryn?
Odd, considering how popular it was. I mean,
It was huge. Like freaking Black Myth Wukong, all the hype. They were happy to throw awards at that overrated turd, but Expedition 33 doesn't get it. I guess Chinese money spends a little better than frog cash. I have no idea.
It just seems so odd, and you have everyone saying it's worthy of Game of the Year.
It's cool. It's like a return to turn-based RPGs of a classic persuasion, but it's not a JRPG. It's cool. It's a cool game. I streamed it. It was
Hold
fun.
on a second. Biden leg hair has a good point, and he says it like a joke, but I'm thinking that maybe there's something to that. Not diverse enough. What if it's like many of these award shows, like the Academy Awards, where it's like you can't be considered unless you meet the requirements of a list of things. What if it is something like that?
It's true. Isn't like the entire cast are white people, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single dark-skinned person because it's set in like Victorian Paris originally, isn't it? Like, no shit, there's only white people. They hadn't quite started the Sudanese refugee program just yet. You may be onto something in, out of a punchline. Sometimes a lot of truth can tumble. Sometimes that's the only way to get truth, honestly. But that's not the only video game topic, Taryn.
No.
I, of course, put out a video.
Let's embiggen this.
Yes. I mean, we could not get through this episode without talking about this. Electronic Arts, maker of Madden, FIFA game franchises, and so much more, sold for $55 billion. Ladies, gentlemen. Fuck you. This has been so long coming, dude. I know I did a video about this, but it wore the laugh bear repeating. You want to read that? Sorry.
Certainly. Video game maker Electronic Arts has announced that it has been sold for a staggering $55 billion in what is believed to be the largest leveraged buyout in history. The company said the all-cash sale to a group that includes Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund and Jared Kushner's venture capital firm positions EA to accelerate innovation and growth to build the future of entertainment. Holy
the
crap.
President of the United States is... That would be Trump, folks. Trump's son-in-law owns EA, partially owns EA, I guess, whatever. It's a joint venture. Hear me out, folks. Hear me out. Dance Dance Revolution reboot, but with the Trump dance.
Ooh.
Fund it! Fund it! I'm all about this, dude. This is incredible, dude. Did you see the video, the clip that I posted in my rant about Bobby Kotick making fun of John Riccitello and how EA had just gone totally down the shitter? How they don't have, he used the phrase, they have non-founder energy. Dude, when Bobby Kotick has license to mock your monetary policy, bruh, just bite the boomstick and end it. Like, just shuffle off this mortal coil. When you heard this, dude, what was your immediate thought?
We won't be seeing a lot of rainbows in EA's Twitter profiles across the world anymore. It gives me hope that maybe Mass Effect will be good.
Yep.
If that is it.
Well, now the news just
If
came out.
BioWare still exists.
Yes, the news just came out in the last 24 hours, in fact, that the new venture that own EA are considering selling. It's not just BioWare and who's the other one? DICE. BioWare and DICE Studios. So the Battlefield studio and the Mass Effect studio, which is a pretty big deal, dude.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much put it this way. If that is the very first story that we're hearing after this buyout, they've probably been thinking about this for a while.
You see that comment in there too? Or is it just me?
What?
Squishy Hunter. Shar EA law.
Sharia, yes.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So the Saudis and Jared Kushner, oh my goodness. The deal will also take EA private with the investment consortium of Saudi Arabia's PIF, Silver Lake, and Kushner's affinity partners, purchasing all public shares, so it will no longer be traded on a stock exchange. You think that's just taking that news item in isolation? You think it's good for them not to be publicly traded? I do.
Yes. Specifically because of the whole, the diversity stuff and all that, but I don't really see that being a problem in the future. So if they sell off DICE and BioWare, I guess they just want EA for the sports and for FIFA and all that, yeah?
I mean, let's really analyze this. What's making them money?
True.
Seriously, what's the most likely thing in the EA portfolio right now that is actually making them profit? It's not Mass Effect. It's, put it this way, it's certainly not Dragon Age the Veilguard.
I remember seeing on Twitter, I forget who it was.
Yeah.
It might have been Cab, actually. It was saying, let's cross our fingers and hope that there's a Saudi prince that's a Titanfall nerd.
Right?
And wants to make a sequel.
Oh my God. Jex Dino people got incredibly nostalgic for Halo 3 after GameStop's based take on the store murals. Big 3 better shape up before a new console eats their lunch. Man, that Halo launch. I worked the midnight launch of Halo 3.
So
it was madness. Yeah, you did too. We worked it at 2 different stores though, right?
Yeah, you were the one. Yeah, you were at the other one. That's because even back then, GameStop was like splitting people up. Oh, we need workers over here.
But that's because Halo 3 was so big, dude.
Mm-hmm.
They knew those launches. I don't know how it was where you are, but at the store that I was at, the Halo 3 launch, it was in this strip mall, right?
Yeah.
And the whole strip mall probably had 5 or 6 stores in it. So pretty sizable strip mall. The line and the GameStop that I was at was like the second from the left. So picture the line going out the door of the GameStop and wrapping all the way around the building once, plus a little more.
Jesus.
It was insanity, dude.
The
midnight launch of Halo 3 was next level.
The one that will always stick with me is Modern Warfare 2. That shit went down the block. There are so many people.
Yep. And here's the funny part. I get home from the midnight launch. What do? I immediately throw in Halo 3 and start playing. Immediately. All I was hearing was Halo 3 all day, and I'm like, fuck it. I'll play Halo 3. Played it co-op, in fact. All right, let's see here. What are some good books on Thomas Jefferson? I don't know any. I don't know any personally. Maybe the chat could give some good recommendations, and I'll go ahead and pin them up. Richard Head, I see what you did there. After all the election integrity moves, are Katie Hobbs and Mark Kelly's days numbered in Arizona politics? Or is the AZ GOP that incompetent? We're in a very, very telling moment for the Arizona GOP, where you still have this rhino wing that is just, they're cockroaches. You keep stamping on them and their legs keep kicking. And meanwhile, MAGA is barely just starting to get its shit together. And of course, we're carried a little bit by the momentum of the last election where Trump took the state of Arizona by 8 points? We were the reddest swing state there was. We were redder than some red states. So there's some momentum there. Like, clearly Arizona will vote for a Republican, but they can't be the shitty Andy Biggs kind of Republican. And so what do? They put up Andy Biggs. They put up David Schweikert, right? I don't like either of those guys. The AZ GOP are so damn clueless. As good as the bench for the Republican Party is nationally, and I don't know how we got there, because in 2012, the political bench was it was deserted. But as good as it is nationally, in the state of Arizona, our political bench it's a graveyard. It's abysmal. Someone's got to step up. It's terrible. So I would like to think that Mark Kelly's days are numbered, but who is going to move against him? Every time he opens his yap, he says things that Arizonans find retarded. So I'd like to think that he's vulnerable. He's the head of a giant gun control pack, and he's kept that hidden for a while, but it's kind of coming out little by little. So every time he talks about gun control and shit, which is massively unpopular in the state of Arizona, he gets a little less popular. All right. Condottiero. When I purchase a super chat such as this, the old tax system taxes me 60% of the value. And I guess the house takes another chunk before you guys get the rest. I am hereby starting Candy for Razor Argentine Fund. I think 4 or 5 of these will suffice. Well, Godspeed, bro. And thank you for joining us regardless. That was probably his life savings, $1.50. No. Noli, true, but what stops Maxwell from just lying? I would answer that question with another question. What stopped the Obama FBI from lying? Right? And like I said, I don't think there's happy endings in this situation. You have two groups that are known for prevarication. It's that there's no good option. Sometimes that's real life. It's just how that goes when you're a realist. All right. Miso trashed. Xbox is done. If everything is an Xbox, nothing is. Yeah, the whole, how do you feel about the everything is an Xbox push and I can play Xbox on my PC. I can play Xbox on my console. I can play Xbox on my phone, on my sneakers, on my underwear. How do you feel about that?
I mean, as someone who doesn't own one, I can appreciate the Game Pass on PC, definitely.
I like that my progress will carry over if I'm playing a console game on Xbox, and then I jump on Xbox on PC, and boom, my save jumps over, and I get better graphics because it's on a PC. I like that, but sometimes I want to sit in front of the TV. I don't think the feature is the problem. I think really the issue with Xbox has less to do with that and more to do with they bought all these studios that were supposed to make great games. All right? After all those studios were bought, they all went to shit. And that has to be a cultural thing. That has to be an Xbox problem. It has to be Microsoft fucking those studios up.
Yeah.
Has to be. There's no other option. Because that many studios that had that record of excellence that some of them had, In Exile and Obsidian before that, and all these different studios, they can't all go to shit at once. It's just not statistically probable.
We all remember Redfall.
Yes, and apparently it did come out that didn't Bethesda say either ZeniMax or Microsoft flat out told them to make Redfall?
Yeah, they said make a co-op shooter thing that we can milk.
Who was it though? Because Redfall came out shortly after or around the same time that Bethesda was bought to begin with. So I would think it's more likely that it was ZeniMax that said that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that, but
that does sound right.
Either way, it's still incumbent upon Xbox to fix the problem if ZeniMax are the issue. Like, you own them. Take some ownership of them. I've heard this too. I know certain people in development and whatever, and they've said one of the problems with Microsoft is they give you enough rope to hang yourself with. Like, there's no guidance. Like, that's also an issue. They actually don't interfere enough sometimes. I could see that. I could totally see that. To quote Fleek, EA Games, it's not technically slavery. Also, EA now stands for entirely Arabian. Rainbow's haram. I suspect they'll put all their dinar on Madden and FIFA. I see them shaving BioWare and the Sim devs. I could.
Origin?
What's up?
They're not. I don't think they'll get rid of Origin. Oh, that is a question though. Will they keep
a
launcher around?
Dude, well, it's not Origin anymore. What is it? EA Play or something?
Oh Lord,
it's
did
something
they rename it?
Dude, a long time ago. I don't think they call it Origin anymore. Am I crazy?
I just know that they kept the name for the launcher.
Yes. Terrible. Terrible. All right. So can we expect a yearly Saudi rooftop simulator from EA now? Yeah, it'll be the Dubai High Dive. Yes.
It's the EA app. Oh.
Yeah. Adam Blythe, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on non-Reddit atheists like me, the sort who just can't believe in spite of earnest attempts. I can't think of any other way to describe it other than just not being wired for faith. My thoughts on them? I mean, I don't have any thoughts on them. You're leaving me alone. As long as you're not prescribing my destruction, I think you're incorrect. But I'm not going to sit here and proselytize. Do you have any thoughts on non-edgy Reddit atheists, Taryn?
Wait, there are non-edgy Reddit atheists?
Sorry, I should have put that another way. Non-edgy, non-Reddit atheists. There we are.
Oh.
That was a syntax discrepancy is what that was. I'm so sorry to that super chatter.
There's no. I would have to say it's the second most outspoken religion on the planet, atheism.
No kidding.
That and I think third would be veganism.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to have a frame of reference. I was raised in the church. My father is a minister. I've been around it my whole life and only fell away from the church for a scant few years. And even then, I never renounced my faith. I just sort of stopped practicing for a while. So it's like I almost don't have a frame of reference. Everyone I grew up with was Christian, pretty much.
And fourth is bicyclists. Yes. Continue. Sorry.
Yes. Mage Leader, in happier news, I found a listing on Alibris for first and second edition Mech Warrior books, both together for $30, you son of a bitch. I have both those things, and I got them for probably around that at a local used bookstore, believe it or not. Sometimes they'll have some good Battletech stuff, meaning not the new stuff. Marushia Dark. Turning Point confirmed the post Candace shared where Charlie said he's breaking with pro-Israel. Scott Adams said this proves Israel at least had a motive. Yeah, I pointed this out. There's people at Turning Point who have already challenged this. I'm not going to get out of the weeds with Candace, but she had to know she was misrepresenting that. Look, I'm not pro-Israel. I'm not anti-Israel either. I see them as a modern secular nation. I talked earlier, I'm a Lutheran. We have an eschatology, which is just an end times philosophy that is amillennial, meaning we're not dispensationalist, meaning we're not Zionist. We don't see Israel as the biblical Israel. It's just a modern nation called Israel. We are not impelled by our religion to support it. But I said Charlie Kirk supported Israel because Charlie Kirk said like a million times he supported Israel. I didn't say it because I support Israel. It was just objectively true. Put it this way. The day that he was killed, in the very same Q&A segment, he was asked about Israel and said he supported Israel. Like, I don't know how one text thread that, if you can read it, put it this way, if you read those texts, you can clearly read them from a sarcastic perspective, where he's basically saying, oh, Jewish donors don't want to donate to me? Okay, I'll invite Candace Owens. And apparently the people in Turning Point are saying that's the context of his comments. If they're saying that, that supports what we already know from what Charlie has said in public. So it's an increasingly unhinged, frequently willing to lie, and never desirous of apologizing Candace Owens versus an entire preponderance of facts that all accord with one another and all agree with Charlie Kirk's public version of events, which is that he supported Israel. I don't support Israel, but Charlie Kirk very clearly did, which is why I said he did, because unlike Candace Owens, I tell the truth. That's the difference. And Candace knew she was prevaricating as she invented that fiction. She had to have been told that. The whole situation to me just proves one thing. And that's that Charlie Kirk maybe lacked a little discernment in terms of some of the people that he allowed into his orbit. I think Candace Owens proves that. He was palling around with her for how damn long? He should have seen she was a bullshitter from 12 miles off. The rest of us did. She ran a doxing website. She was a shitlib 15 minutes before that. Suddenly she sees the light just long enough to make a new organization that makes all kind of money and that, you know, she's printing money off of, the Blexit, whatever. He should have had more discernment than that, but nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. She's just... I said on Twitter, I think the problem, honestly, 90% of it is really the audience. Candace grifts. Candace is about Candace. She doesn't even know how to admit she's wrong, even when she's caught in a lie. It's honestly the audience that have rewarded her for lying. It's the audience that have incentivized her lying, that have made her the center of attention for this whole thing. I'm frankly gobsmacked that Erica Kirk hasn't come out and just called her a bitch. I can't believe she's got to be like seething in a corner somewhere, because every time this broad, this wall-eyed hack opens her mouth, Erica Kirk's got a fresh bowl of shit to eat. It's just so disgraceful while the family's still freaking mourning. I don't know. Taryn, do you have any thoughts on that? Have you been following any of this bullshit?
No, honestly, the moment after the first wave of Candace's bullshit came out, I just stopped listening. It seems like every time I see her in the news, it's just more and more piling on about, oh, the Mossad had Charlie killed, and why is Erica acting so strangely? It's just like, I just stopped paying attention.
That blew my mind. Why is Erica not saying anything? I don't know. Did her husband die recently? I don't know. Think maybe she wants some private time? What the hell? How do you even utter that sentence unironically and not realize you're the asshole in the story? Like, how did you never arrive at the moment where you pause and look at the camera and go, hens, are we the baddies? How? How is there no self-examination there at all? I don't understand it. I don't understand it, especially as a professing Christian. Because as a professing Christian, you should be almost anticipatory. You should be the person who like volunteers to apologize before asked. And if I were asked to close my eyes and picture Candace Owens apologetic, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't have the necessary frame of reference. There wouldn't be enough clips of her having done it, because there are no clips of her having done it. I could not piece that gestalt together. It wouldn't be possible. All right, here we go. Jadine, if you read Machiavelli, is the prince read it as a warning label instead of an instruction manual? What? The same goes for Rules for Radicals. I have read Rules for Radicals and some of this. It's an eye-opener. Not as insightful as some people make it out to be, but, you know, I think Mike Cernovich was the big guy to say that was a brilliantine tome, and we know he doesn't have an IQ north of 9, so Jegs Dino God, recall that TS made animal abuse a federal offense.
Keep money.
Bloodline Films, grappling with reconnecting with my faith. I know you did as well relatively recently. What was the process of reconciling art versus artist and all the stuff that is blatantly us and anti-Christian, like for you? Godspeed. Well, once you understand the nature of salvation, it's not about you avoiding things that are contrary to your faith. You simply step aside and allow the salvific work of the Lord to work in you. And then that will steer you away the things that are not affirming of your faith naturally. I never had to sit there with a checklist. Can't listen to Dark Throne anymore. Can't listen to Bathory. Can't do any of that. I admittedly hardly ever listen to that stuff, but it's not because anybody wrote it down on a checklist and forbid me from doing it. It's because whatever that mysterious work of the Lord is that I receive in the Eucharist, that I receive in baptism, that has done its work. And I am less drawn to those things naturally. And it's a gradual process. But I think some people who think of it in those terms are kind of getting salvation backward, and in a weird way are kind of subscribing to a works-based salvation, which is heretical. All right, let's see here. Michael McLeod, anyone else sick of the words community and democracy? I'm sick of the show community. DRT is king. Is there a hydroelectro power plant in China that YouTube will not let me mention in the super chat, or a flying missing pixel? No clue why they can't be. I have no idea, bro. All right. Damien, Day of the Bastide Gershwin. Dystopian future. Which melee weapon do you prefer in a dystopian future? Taryn, take it away.
Ooh, a melee weapon.
If you say katana, I'm going to punch you.
Oh, not a katana. You know what? Hunt Showdown has inspired me. I like the idea of maybe a shotgun with like the axe around the barrel, like a handle, or like
a hatchet,
or like a Romero Talon or something like that.
Dude, in a survival situation, and I'm not even talking in post-apocalyptic. I'm talking like if you are in the hills and you have to subsist off the land for a while, a godsend is a well-made, sharpened hatchet.
Yeah.
A godsend. You can chop stuff off with it, gather kindling, you can dig, you can do anything with this damn thing. It is a multi-tool for wilderness survival. Anyone who's been camping, anybody who's been hunting knows you do not leave without a decent knife and a decent hatchet. So some kind of hatchet I would go full Gimli. And my axe! I would... Absolutely. Maybe not a big two-handed Gimli axe, but I would go hatchet. Razor, you're asking a black woman to be self-aware. You said it, not me. Candace Owens is just loud black pirate software. I don't know what that means. Is that a person?
Pirate software? Oh yeah. Thor. My dad works. I worked at Blizzard. Have I told you that? I worked at Blizzard.
Intrinsic Dark, explain to an atheist that his beliefs are faith-based. There is an element of that that's true, yeah. Christians have faith that the Bible is true, and atheists have faith that materialistic nihilism is true. Both are making faith-based statements. Well, I would make the less elevated claim that there are unsubstantiated claims of science that atheists take on faith, and by necessity have to take on faith. There's all kinds of crazy theories that haven't been proven, like on paper, dark matter is a thing. Has it been proven? No, it's a theorem, right? There's a lot of stuff in science that is that. And so there's an element of faith incumbent in science. You can say there's certain things that point to it, right? But how is that any different from, well, Ares pulled the sun with a flaming chariot. See, I have signs that is true. Anyways. Luke Korolovitz art. Do you think self-publishing a black and white comic as an online pre-order bi-monthly can succeed? I'm planning to do this through my art store. I love black and white comics. You should be passionate about the project first. And then you need to worry about making a bullhorn. That's the big thing in independent comics. You need a way for people to find out about it. Network, talk with other indie artists. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. I'll appear on your podcast, I'll whatever, that kind of stuff. Not you pay me, I'll pay you. None of that. Nothing seedy like that. But like, hey, I'll appear on your podcast. We'll tell dick jokes together, right? And we'll go back and forth. And that's called networking, man. And the more of that you do, the more people are going to find out about your work. And then the delivery mechanism ceases to matter as much. You can traditionally publish, you can publish online, you can edit a video together and make it a motion comic. Whatever the delivery mechanism is less important than you networking. That has been the primary preoccupation in this Iron Age in which we currently inhabit. We really need to focus more on the networking aspect. To the degree that certain Iron Age projects have been less successful than others, they all have one common element, and that is the creators unanimously failed to sufficiently network and create their own bullhorn. And that's something that everyone needs to worry about. And the evidence of this is Marvel and DC's bullhorn is not that big or important anymore. So if they're having problems getting the message out about their incredibly expensive comics that have been around for decades, what the hell hope do you have? So you need to fixate on networking. You need to be better than Marvel and DC are at networking and getting that bullhorn in everybody's face. Here we go. Burner YouTube profile. Remember a dude from the GOP tried to bribe Carrie Lake to get her to drop out in AZ? Yep. It's not incompetence, it's corruption. Their interest is to not win AZ. What's fascinating about that is the guy that they wanted to run instead of Carrie Lake for senator, he has a chance to run again, unopposed. He dropped out. He's not going to. That would be Sheriff Lamb. So it was important enough one election cycle ago to bribe Carrie Lake to not run because they really wanted, like Lamb really wanted to run for that seat. But now that another one's available and it's a wide open field for him, he's not going to run. And people were claiming like Carrie Lake was being belligerent in that situation. Nah, gang, something was afoot. That was fishy. Why did that guy just go away? Now he has a chance to do it. I liked Sheriff Lamb as much as the next guy, but man, I don't know. Now on two separate occasions, he's exhibited some pretty suspicious behavior. All right. Navanad Semaj, I simply reject out of hand the idea we are but randomly generated bags of meat and chemicals reacting to stimuli. Life cannot be that stupid. You know, I saw a regurgitation of an argument that I used to make back when I was quite a bit younger, like in high school. I read this fantastic book on the Christian argument, the Christian answers, really more of apologetics in an age of, evolution and Darwinism and such. And one of the extrapolations of that was the human eyeball, which makes no evolutionary sense. The human eyeball makes no evolutionary sense. And I saw there was a video that just went viral this week making that same argument from like a Chinese guy or a Korean guy who was talking about how, until the eyeball, the long and short of it is, until the eyeball is fully formed, you've got a hollow socket that's a giant vulnerability to predators. And until the eyeball is fully formed, it's just this appendage that would be like, there's no evolutionary basis. Nothing about it makes any sense from the standard Darwinist understanding of evolution. Right. I'm really summarizing the argument, by the way. They make some very specific claims and support them with scientific evidence. But I was fascinated to see that people like that argument is actually making the rounds. It's funny. I made that same argument I was in a philosophy class with this super commie professor guy. Like, oh my gosh, this guy was so communist. He was in the news. He was like a national news story because he had been taped talking shit about Republicans and calling for their deaths. And and I used to debate this guy all the time. The whole class degenerated into the RazörForce debates the professor hour. And I made those same arguments. We went back and forth about evolution and the human eyeball. It was funny. He was not pleased with me. He was pleased. It's funny because we respected each other. He was like, he would say things like, you're so many things. Like, you're not just ignorant, but you're just so wrong. That kind of thing. Adam Blythe, protect your gun rights. I'm Australian. I wanted to take my 14-year-old son to airsoft for fun. Turns out that he is banned there. Wow. Thank you, Josiah Flynn. That doesn't make grammatical sense. I don't know about Dave Smith getting wrecked in a debate. I don't watch e-debates. They're so pointless. Put it this way. Hey, Taryn, have you ever been persuaded by an online debate?
No.
Like, seriously.
Never.
I could see myself being persuaded by a debate about some pointless bullshit like a movie or something. Like, no, this movie's better than that movie, right? I could see myself being persuaded by a well-made argument in that connection. But politics, religion, I have never been persuaded by a single debate in that connection. I feel like really what's happening there in online debates is one audience is squaring off with another audience. And then if one or the other mouthpiece that those audiences select does their job a little better than the other, the bigger audience gets to troll them. That's usually what happens. It's usually a measure of who has the bigger audience and the louder audience.
It's almost always just about two people trying to dunk on each other and clip farming. That's it.
Yeah. And it's kind of free advertising for an entire genre of subhuman podcaster. Like a long time ago, the Destinies of the world and the Voshes of the world got wise to the fact that, hey, debate me, bro, is free advertising. If I have a debate with Stefan Molyneux, even if I lose the debate, which like Vosh miserably lost a debate to Stefan Molyneux years ago. But what he did was he immediately went online on his own channel, played the video back, and then point by point, as he lost each individual point in the debate, he was able to Monday morning quarterback and say, well, actually, see, he's wrong here because, right? So he gets to spin it to his audience that he didn't completely eat shit in front of hundreds of thousands of people. It's so disingenuous and scummy. Comstar Knight. He's the scourge of Portland. The sorrow of Chicago commands you on a mountain of liberal tears. In the castle of Democrat pain, he sits on a throne of leftist tears. What was will be, what is will be no more. Now is the season of justice and good. What the hell? Was that a song? Were those lyrics? Looks like Shinzo Abe is smiling. Donarudo. Turn your head to the chart, Donarudo. Star Phoenix. Hear about Ubisoft canceling their post-Civil War Assassin's Creed that would have had white wizards. Shucks. Did they not want us hunting Democrats? I'm saying, Ubisoft, you need to hear me. Make the damn game. You have any idea how many Abraham Lincoln videos? You don't have any idea how many heads would explode from my Lincoln videos after that game comes out? Jesus. My Lincoln video is almost at 1 million views, for crying out loud. I'll put it over the top. It'll be...
right. I saw somebody make an excellent point.
Huh.
An Assassin's Creed game set during the First World War would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would. Here we go. Emma saying, I feel like I'm one of the few Xbox owners who's never bothered with Game Pass. Granted, my PS2 and Game Boy Color work, so I'm not lacking in games. Yeah, it's funny. I got free Game Pass with the console. So that's what inculcated me. I wasn't particularly over the moon about getting Game Pass. But with that said, as someone who streams a game every week, it's been invaluable. Whenever I don't know what I'm going to stream, it's like, well, go hit up Game Pass. There's a whole shitload of stuff for me to stream. And it's come in clutch a bunch of times. So if you were like a streamer or something, man, run, don't walk. Why do atheists say their ideology never hurt anyone? Like, seriously, are they that uneducated? Right? Soviet Russia would like a word. Why are leftists so easily radicalized? I'm sure normal leftists exist, but it's hard to see them when the most extreme are all you see. It's hard to ignore a party that literally worships death. Why are they so easily radicalized? Before I say my piece, do you have any theories, Taryn?
No, actually, I want to hear what you have to say.
I think I think if your philosophy is informed primarily by envy, then all of your conclusions have to wrap around that original premise, right? It's sort of a conclusion that masquerades as a premise. So if you're envious, if you're envious in a vacuum, it's like, I'm just an envious asshole. But if there's 12 of us who are all envious, oh, well, the choir can't be wrong. It's got to be a systemic problem. It's got to be that asshole living in the mansion on the hill who's the problem. It's got to be that asshole in the corporate headquarters who's the problem. It's got to be that bishop in that church over there who's the problem. It can't be me. It can't be us. Look how many of us there are. And we've all arrived at the same conclusion. But as we learn from the pitchfork-wielding villagers at the end of Frankenstein, like the collective does not always arrive at the same conclusion. In fact, I would say incorrect conclusions are emboldened by a collectivist arrangement. They are emboldened by mob rule. Gang, like in a vacuum, shitbag dictator or demagogue or whatever can only do so much damage. It is the angry mob. It is the collective that really does the damage. And the worst thing about the angry mob is after the dust settles and all the bodies are buried, they're the ones who never see any consequences. They get to shuffle away and say, well, Mildred was doing it. Jack was doing it. Like, we were all doing it. It was perfectly fine. It's Mussolini who winds up hanging upside down from a meat hook, not the average rank and file Italian that demanded a Mussolini. That's kind of how I see it. They're easily radicalized because they are informed by envy. They are working backward to rationalize the envy. I'm not just envious. There's a genuine inequality that's happened here. A genuine injustice has occurred. So I'm going to work backward to ratify that premise. Like, that's fundamentally, I think it's more of a philosophical problem. And it's not a left-right thing either. It's not a left-right thing. It can be left politically. It can be right politically. It is a philosophical problem. This is why I'm always talking about the Candace Owens situation is fascinating to study, because her politics changed from left to right, but her philosophy did not change from collectivist to anything else. She's just as identitarian. She is just as collectivist as she was, maybe even more than when she was a leftist. It's just instead of blaming Whitey, she's blaming someone else. She just changed the party that's implicated in all the world's ills.
See, I was just going to go with my old answer, like with communists, they're just all losers.
Well, it's pithy. It's pithy, at least. Oh, fine. Ask Creed during Civil War. As Booth! Hey! I think he got something there. You got served, Gavrilo Princip. If you know, you know. Oh, how will the EA sale save the company when they've crapped out buckets of rainbow poop over the last decade, if not longer? If they get rid of the Rainbow Studios, that are probably unsalvageable at this point. I mean, BioWare is such a ship of Theseus. Is any of the original BioWare left, really, at this point? If they dump that dead weight and focus just on the sports games and shit and the slop, the movie license slop that makes them money, they'll right the ship. They'll make money. They'll start being profitable. You can quote me on it, too. What do you think?
No, 100%. EA is pretty much not EA. Sorry, specifically BioWare is just a zombie company at this point.
Right.
It's Night of the Living Dead over there. You got, oh my God, I have no hopes for the next Mass Effect, for the next Dragon Age, if there is going to be another Dragon Age.
Yep. What's your all-time favorite Al Gore prophecy completely debunked? Mine is, there will be no snows on Mount Kilimanjaro by 2015.
That was going to be mine.
That's a great one. Another one is like beachfront property in the Hamptons. You won't be able to have it anymore. because sea levels will have risen so much in New York, right? That was another one within 10 to 15 years. He just always repeated that premise, 10 to 15 years, 10 to 15 years every time. Because it's just far enough away to still be alarming, to still scare the audience. Because the whole point is to scare people into spending money and leaning on socialism. That's always been the point. Again, the malady is constantly changing. It's the remedy that's invariable. Socialism, communism. Ian Brune, part of the reason the CCP exists is because we sold China down the river before because they were corrupt. Sound familiar? Yep. Ian Carroll's, I'm not sure. Have you gone over the fraud situation here in Minneapolis? Oh, there's a ton of fraud, but they changed the demographics over there, particularly in the Twin Cities area so much. You're not going to make any headway until those voters are gone. You're just not. Off the subject, but are either of you familiar with Parasite Mutant? An upcoming Parasite Eve inspired game looks promising and closest to a Parasite Eve sequel. Taryn?
Yeah, I looked at the gameplay trailer. It seems promising. It's still early in development, but I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Huh. We actually, we should have thrown this in with the FBI story. We do have one more because in this week, gosh, I almost forgot about this. Gang, James Comey pleads not guilty. He is officially being prosecuted, and Kash Patel denies that they will perp walk James Comey. He was accused of that, by the way, by the leftist media. Says no theater in Comey indictment. Dude, you remember how just breathlessly the media, especially CNN and such, and MSNBC were claiming, oh, they'll do a perp walk. It'll be political theater. It'll be like, apparently the FBI no longer traffics in perp walking because Roger Stone's not involved or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
But feel free to read that, sir.
Patel dismisses a perp walk rumor. Says no theater in Comey indictment. Exclusive. Top Department of Justice officials brushed off rumors on Tuesday. Here, let me embiggen this. Here we go. James Comey would be arrested and paraded in front of the media, providing their remarks on the former FBI director's court case one day before his scheduled arraignment. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and FBI Director Kash Patel told Fox News Digital in a sit-down interview at the FBI Chicago field office that media reports about a possible camera-ready Comey arrest, sometimes known as a perp walk, were mere distractions.
Fuck it, I'll settle for a crip walk. Just indict the motherfucker already. I don't care.
We conduct arrests. The FBI conducts arrests at every courthouse in this country every single day of the year, Blanche said, calling the rumors about Comey's circumstances gossip.
No.
Mr. Comey has been directed to appear, and I expect that he will. But the noise from MSNBC and from retired agents or unnamed anonymous sources about perp walks is just that. It's just
unnamed
noise.
Anonymous sources, meaning FBI agents that still need to be purged and haven't.
Yes.
Let's be real.
Exactly.
This is why Kash Patel looks like he's witnessing the docking of the Hindenburg every time you see him. The big wide, because this shit this dude is dealing with on the daily. I can't imagine.
Reuters, MSNBC, and other outlets reported in recent days that an FBI official was fired for refusing to partake in a showy arrest of Comey and staged walk.
Yeah.
Comey has been summoned to appear at a courthouse in Virginia on charges of making a false statement to Congress, but it is unclear if an arrest is also planned.
I mean, come on. Do we really need to just the false statement thing? Like, come on. Comey tried and failed to interfere in the 2016 election. He succeeded in interfering in the Trump presidency and interfering in the 2020 campaign. The only thing he hasn't succeeded at is looking like he doesn't rape Cub Scouts, for crying. Throw the book at this baggy-eyed bitch. I am done with it.
Patel, meanwhile, spoke as a part of a visit to Chicago's field office to show support for FBI personnel who have been partaking in Operation Midway Blitz, a massive immigration enforcement operation that has been rife with tension among city leaders, federal law enforcement, and activists.
Yeah.
He called media reports about Comey a distraction from the FBI's work.
Mm-hmm.
And concluding this, the mainstream, a quote from him, the mainstream media wants to take the eye off the ball and create theater, Patel said. We're not about theater. We're about producing our results in court, and that's what you're going to see tomorrow start. The revelation of details, and it will be forthcoming in the judicial process, as everyone in America is entitled to, including Mr. Comey, and we want him to have his day in court, and it starts tomorrow.
Yep.
End of article.
Wow. Okay. How far do you think this goes? Because I see people, I think a lot of people are kind of operating under a false assumption of what's going on here with Comey and what his intentions actually are. I've seen people who are just kind of like, oh, he's just covering for shitbag. He's just corrupt. That's what it is. And those people couldn't be more. What do you think is at play here in the philosophy of James Comey? What is animating him in this? Because he's been uniquely belligerent in all this thing and almost like taunting. He's trying to behave the martyr, right? And to me, that doesn't say I'm just covering up for deep state douchebags. How does that strike you before I say what I think?
I believe wholeheartedly that he thinks that he's above consequence, not particularly above the law, but above consequence, that he's done what he's done, and they really don't have him for anything. I really
You think he just thinks his nose is clean?
Maybe not totally clean, but I think, like I said, he believes he's above consequence. Like, nothing's gonna happen to me.
There may be an element of that. Like you may be near, but like people think this fairy's just covering up for a cabal of deep state douchebags. But
I don't deny that. But like I said,
well, no, I think the truth is way worse. It's more pathetic than watching Amazing Atheist touch his toes. He is a sincere. What's happening is he's a sincere statist hack. He truly believes he is David standing at the feet of Goliath. He is loading a stone into his sling. He is vanquishing the evil orange man. He is that damn delusional. He will go to prison with a smile because this motherfucker is the landlord of the martyr complex. I am telling you this. It is him and Brennan. I believe Comey and Brennan are two sides of the same coin. They truly believe they are freedom fighters for their ideology. These commies are playing for keeps, gang. There are no social justice weekend warriors, which is why you have to approach this really serious. You have to chop their hands off like a Saudi fruit thief. There are no alternate approaches to this situation. These are true believers. And I think there's a lot of people on the right who don't fully appreciate that. Has that been your experience, or I don't know?
Some of them. Definitely some of them. I think there are those above them that know perfectly
Clapper,
well.
thank you. Clapper as well. Thank you. Scylla Felix, I think as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I think that there are people above Comey, or at least who are directing Comey, who are actually corrupt. But I think you're right that people like Comey believe what they've read in the pamphlet. I think he is one of those true believers who thinks he's doing it for the greater good.
Yeah, I truly believe that. He's got that kind of, for some reason I want to say Peter Pan complex, but it's not. It's like a King Arthur complex. He's gonna save Britain. It's that. He really believes that. He thinks that if the government isn't big enough, it can't do its job. That's really when he sees government workers being furloughed and shit like that. He's like, oh God, it's all falling down. It's tyranny. It's like, what form of tyranny makes the government smaller? What the hell are you talking about? It makes sense in the muddled mind of the James Comeys of the world. It makes perfect sense. Believe you me. Bald Barry and I worked the Halo 3 midnight launch. I tossed out Mountain Dew Halo. I have never had Halo Mountain Dew. Have you?
I think I tried it once from a gas station. They had when they had the bottles.
Did they? Oh yeah. Mikey, have you thought about stepping up yourself in the political space in AZ? Not for more than a second. Who wants that bullshit?
Hell no.
Noli, then charge her. We can't just let this woman have a blank check to condemn anyone she wants, even the potentially innocent, just because she can. The problem is she's your only material witness, and even in a more ideal situation, could you envision a situation where the madam, the sub-lieutenant of the, I assume you're talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, where the sub-lieutenant of the shitbag in question, Epstein in this case, is not the first person you'd want to talk to, the first person you'd want testimony from, and the first person you'd want to cut a deal with so that they could roll on the shitbags that you want to get. I mean, you're essentially saying, oh, just throw the book at her. I don't care if we get Prince Andrew. I don't care if we get, even if it was Donald Trump. I don't care if we get this guy or that guy or any of these embedded shitbags. Here's the problem. We have to get these guys. This is actually part of rooting out government corruption. Because if this is what most of us suspect, a compromat op, then there's leverage on these guys. Because the material is still in the hands of the FBI or whoever. And they could use that to bring people into line as leverage for what, that's the whole point of a compromat op. So I actually categorically disagree. I think you kind of have to make a deal in a way, but it sucks because I don't want to say or even think that, because you want her to shoulder consequences, and I want her to shoulder major damn consequences. I like halfway want to be like, kind of reminds me of the situation with Jan Hus, right? The Hussites before the Reformation. There was this guy named Jan Hus who was sort of an early, like a pre-Martin Luther. And he had a lot of the complaints about indulgences and stuff. Anyway, so the custom was that you would go to Rome to answer before an inquest or an inquisitor, and sort of answer for your Christian beliefs before Rome, and they would assure your safe passage. Like, okay, you can come over here. You will not be molested. We won't kill you. It's okay, because we want you to answer for yourself and give you an opportunity to recant. But he went, and Rome killed him anyway. Like, I think he was apprehended on the road and he was killed. And they afterward justified it by saying, you can't lie to a heretic. Right? I want to do that to Ghislaine Maxwell. Right? Oops. The deal's not valid because she's a shitbag who traffics kids. It's very tempting. It's very tempting is all I'm saying. All I'm saying. Copperhead Snake, Earth is 4.54 billion years old. Human history is around 25,000 years old, or what I've told her Earth's history. During that time, no other intelligent beings, much less industrialized, appeared. Random chance, my ass. Well, Godspeed. David Berlinski is a mathematician who argues the current evolutionary understanding does not compute mathematically. The timescales don't work out, so our understanding's obviously incomplete. A lot of what we understand to be sort of ironclad science is not complete. You and I, Taryn, talk about the fossil record.
Yeah.
And how many charlatans there were in the early days of archaeology. There was a whole lot of snake oil salesmen who were finding dinosaurs in the desert because it was becoming very lucrative to sell these fossils to museums. There is no doubt in my mind, at least some of the dinosaurs in museums are straight up fake. Some shitbag snake oil salesman wanted to sell them those fossils. It was too much of a scandal to admit that it was fake. They're still in there. Some of them. Because there was a whole cottage industry around that kind of, and that's just one example. Not everything that you've been told, I'm not saying it's all like a foundation of sand or anything, but some of the stuff that you think is ironclad science isn't necessarily.
Yeah, the truth is we don't know shit because the history of the earth goes back so far.
Mhm.
Like that previous super chatter said, how do you know we were the only ones?
Yeah.
The way that how many floods there have been, the volcanic eruptions, the way the continents shift, that shit could have been buried tens of millions of years ago.
Yeah.
How would you even know? If humanity ended today, in a million years, do you think there'd be any evidence left?
Right.
Entire cities would be ground to dust.
M. Garcia, how Marxist was your college experience? At my uni's engineering building, there's promotional material for the YDSA and the Scott Pilgrim art style. Wow. Wow. That would be the Young Democratic Socialists of America, correct? Being in Phoenix, not so bad. Not so bad. It's funny. You would have teachers who were just non-ideological and they were just teaching their subject. And I would say that was the vast majority of them. And then every now and then you would get this super obviously Marxist professor who would just smack you in the face like a dead fish. And you're just like, where did that come from? Can I tell you one of the funniest ones?
Yeah.
I was at this college. I had just changed colleges and I still needed to get electives out of the way, or I still needed one of the prereqs out of the way. And it was a history class. It was a history of, I forget if it was world history and American history. I can't remember. But I sit down and in the class and the guy has a salt and pepper mullet and a big old handlebar mustache. And he's got kind of a button-up open shirt, and he's got a thick Texas accent. And I'm like, oh, this is my kind of people. All right, kids. Now let's talk about how Karl Marx was right and property is theft.
Oh, my God.
I'm just like, what the hell? What is this? It turned out the guy was from Austin. Surprise, surprise. Just the reddest piece of shit on planet, redder than a baboon's ass in the immortal RazörForce vernacular. Unbelievable. And I think I missed 2 classes because I had just gotten a job and I was having trouble adjusting my schedule because I kept arguing with him in class because he kept saying stupid shit that wasn't true. And so we were a little kind of fractious from the very beginning. I made the mistake. This is my fault. I made the mistake of missing class twice because I was adjusting to this new work schedule. The second time I didn't show up, he dropped me from the class.
Yeah.
He hated my ass so much. He was like, well, I can legally drop him from the class at this very moment, so I'm going to do it. My grades were A's. It was perfectly fine, but he did it just because he hated my guts. It was freaking funny. Marxists are such petty little pricks. He was a hicklib. He was a classic Jim Cornette hicklib. That was the funny. Did you ever have a story like that? Like a super lib?
Oh, no. The only real story I have is when I, in my short time in college, is when I was taking philosophy. And my teacher was so old and senile. Halfway through the semester, he starts teaching geography.
Just change his subjects.
Just change subjects all of a sudden. It's like, okay, I understand this guy was from here, but why are we learning about the history of the town? And
right.
Like, I think he started talking about like, okay, at this point in time, this guy was in power and he was overthrown. It's like, okay, but philosophy.
Oh.
Well,
yep. Zerp Derb, Twilight Zone's Maple Street is what I use to remind myself of the importance of keeping a cool head and thinking things through. Yep. That and The Mist. That movie.
Yeah.
Subterranean Dweller, when one side doesn't understand the other's viewpoint because they never hear it, it makes a short trip to believing they are simply evil. Next thing you know, extreme doesn't sound so bad. That is a good point, actually. The gilded bubble that these coastal elites live in sometimes, where they all go to the same colleges, they all get the same jobs, they all go to the same cocktail parties, they all suck the same dicks. It creates a filtration system where the other side doesn't become my esteemed colleague across the aisle. It becomes the nefarious they, the nefarious them. It becomes that. Look no further for an operative example of this than the Obama administration, where Obama really was kept away from countervailing opinion. Great book about this, by the way. It's called The Amateur, written by a guy who had direct access to advisors in the Obama White House during his entire administration. And the overall portrait that you get is Valerie Jarrett had Obama kept in a bubble the whole time. If you had bad news to bring him, Barry didn't hear it. He didn't want to hear anything that went against his opinion at all. It's a microcosm of how the left operates. They are modeling the Obama method. They are the progeny of Obama. Like I said, I think the death and decline of the Democratic Party, when it comes, we'll look back and say Obama was the final success that killed the Democratic Party. They were hurt more by Obama being elected twice and Biden being elected once than they would have been by 25 straight years of losses. If they had lost for 25 years straight, they would have been better off as a party than they were having 2 terms of Obama and 1 of Biden. Kevin Spears, Temp, Obama, Jeffries shown yesterday. They all resort to violence and insults. When confronted yesterday, he said, shut your mouth, and then insult after insult. All right. We've only recently found fossil evidence of a gorilla, making humans and gorillas the only living great apes with fossil evidence. Black Metal Gamer, my theory is leftist ideology fueled by man babies. Godspeed. All right. Mayor of Orc City, John A. Douglas. Razor, I'm about to go to war with my local library over their banned book lies. A librarian in my state is in Time magazine for it. Any arguments you could offer against banned book lies would be much appreciated. Well, it's pretty simple. You're not banning books. You're precluding the taxpayer from being charged for those books. Those are 2 different things. That book is still published. It's still readily available in all the major bookstores. The taxpayer's just not being asked to pay for it. Just as the taxpayer is not asked to pay for porno. Like, if everything was allowed to be in public libraries, there should be a porno section. Shouldn't there? It's ridiculous to say that. It's absolutely absurd to say that saying that this book isn't going to be in the children's section teaching about chopping peepees off is censorship. It's just not. Parents can, and educators for that matter, can still go out and buy that damn thing anytime they want. It's just taxpayers shouldn't be charged for it. And by the way, the original book burning lie about McCarthy, I didn't even really talk about this in my McCarthy video. I didn't have time for it. Eisenhower called McCarthy a book burner because it turned out that the Army library had a bunch of communist propaganda in it. And the thing was, the Army library was only set up for anti-communist, specifically for anti-communism. Hey, we're going to stock the library with a bunch of books that show, hey, here's why capitalism works and communism doesn't work. And because you need to know these things if you're going overseas to these places, right? It's really, really important. Eisenhower came out and called him a book burner, but Eisenhower previously had made the argument that, hey, the taxpayers shouldn't be charged for communist propaganda in public libraries. He essentially made the counter argument to what he later said about McCarthy. It's just obvious Eisenhower was a senile old retard who was being led around by his advisors. Generic name here. Forget the show trials. Bring in Thunderdome, trash can lids, and nail bats. Bust a deal. Face the wheel. You guys planning on playing Chronos? Looks good. Maybe.
Maybe. You never know.
Possibly. Just reminding you, my comic takes place after the FBI is dismantled with an executive order, so it takes place in a utopia then. Yeah. Fantastic. Lithium Man, I hope EA's new Saudi owners aren't like the CCP denouncing the wokey pokey at home while funding it elsewhere. Exactly. I would think with ties to the Trump White House. How wild is that going to be? Do you think that'll filter down in any way? You think we'll get like a MAGA video game?
Oh my God.
Do you think that could happen? I mean, it's probably a far-flung hope, but you think it could happen?
You know, isn't Saudi Arabia, didn't Trump get like $1 trillion deal with them for some like AI shit? I don't think they would send propaganda our way like the CCP does.
Yeah. Gigatwin, I'd like to think Robert E. Howard was recounting actual history or a version of it through Conan because the Hyborian Age takes place before any of our written history. I don't believe it's beyond the realm of possibility. That is a peculiarity of both Robert E. Howard and Tolkien, is they were both writing prehistory. But Howard did it first, and America, fuck yeah. Mercenary X, I flunked community college because of multicultural studies. Are you sure it's not because you couldn't spell cultural? Generic name here. Now that we've got the Final Fantasy Tactics remaster we didn't know we wanted, we now need a Xenogears remaster just for the sweet, sweet man. Fucking. That's Pete. Lord Rykard the Blasphemous. Razor, have you read Samuel Francis's Leviathan and its enemies? If so, thoughts? No, I haven't. I have not. But will the Saudis or Kushner have creative say? Will the owners of a company have creative say?
I would think so.
My thought is they're probably going to defer to the most part to, hey, is Madden making money? Whatever you're doing, keep doing that, right? That's probably the extent of the creative input. But who knows? What are your thoughts on Gina Swoboda as she is now allegedly running for Congress? Do you think she will step down? We talked about that a little bit in our midterm predictions, actually, and that was speculated at the time. So, I mean, I would assume. Of course, you always have to wonder with the laws of, like, if you run, do you have to vacate your seat? Because look at what happened when Ron DeSantis ran in that doomed primary campaign where he wound up kind of embarrassing himself. I freed who? Lincoln after watching Chappelle. Lincoln after watching a Civil War documentary that claims he freed the slaves. Modern Minuteman movement. The Diocese of Chicago is defending Adolf Pigster and gave Dick Durbin a pro-life award. No joke. I believe it. You have to remember, like, a lot of the individual dioceses, like the Roman Catholic Church itself has remained pretty committed to pro-life and all of that stuff. But the individual dioceses in certain blue jurisdictions is a totally different story. Those got corrupted a long time ago. You can go back through their history. We're talking like 19th century history. They're swimming with commies, openly advocating for red candidates and stuff. It's just putrid. So none of this is new. Captain Pipsqueak, good morning from down under. Hassan's fans are huffing grade A uncut copium. Traitors directly facilitated the rise of both the CCP and North Vietnam. McCarthy did nothing wrong. Have a great stream. We are having a great stream, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, sir. You want to read a few?
I certainly can. Let's go over.
Dude, the freaking, it's like raining or threatening to rain. I got the biggest freaking allergy.
Yeah, the pressure, right?
Oh,
yeah, I can feel it too.
It feels like Richard Gere's gerbil is just doing cartwheels in there.
Dustin the Grim gives Cicero a hug and cherish him.
Yeah.
Hoping a certain streamer gets a shocking necklace of his own one day. Godspeed.
Godspeed. Oh, you know what? You might have to refresh this list because I read some of these.
I don't think I can refresh this list.
You'll refresh it. Just refresh the stream. Come back to us.
Okay.
Come back to us. I'll read a few in the meantime. Marussia Dark, did you see Trump admitted in a cabinet meeting today Israel killed 70,000 Palestinians? Between this, his F-bombs at Bibi, and Charlie Kirk breaking from Israel, which is not really true. I already talked about that earlier. How do you read the tea leaves? I think the comment about the Palestinians was Trump exerting leverage on Bibi. And we didn't even talk about the phase 1 of the peace deal that went off today. Oh, hey, Taryn's back with us.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about phase 1 of the peace deal. I think one of the reasons we were able to get that peace deal is because Trump took the kid gloves off a little bit with Israel. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of elbow grease in there, and suddenly Bibi was willing to come more so to the negotiating table. And I suspect that was more so a tactic. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Sonny Croc. Do I have that? Do I have that clip? No, I don't. No, I don't. Damn it.
It's in the Streamlabs.
I know. I should have uploaded it on here. Damn it. This guy called 911 about his cigarettes starting a blaze. The Lockman fire was improperly put out because the LAFD and their DEI crap. He's a patsy. I could see that. I actually could see that.
The Engaged Few, thank you for that too earlier. It borrowed heavily from Ghostbusters too. Not sure what you're talking about.
Huh.
We got just a handful over at Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
Commander Wolf, please, for the love of all that is holy, from the new EA owners, a Generals sequel or remaster. I believe he's talking about Command and Conquer.
Dude, RTS games, bring them back.
With all of its unique charm, or a NASCAR Thunder. It's been years. 2002 was my intro to Sweet Home Alabama.
Well, I mean, doesn't EA own Wing Commander? Don't they own Wing Commander? Dude, give us a new Wing Commander. Space Sims are back and they're making money. Go for it.
Ruron with 2 donations over there. Ultimately, I hope Comey is a stepping stone to even someone larger. Guys such as Tucker and Candace claim nothing will happen, and I don't believe that.
No.
As a 3-time Trump voter, I've noticed only some people truly understand what time this is now. Stephen Miller, President Trump, Pete Hegseth, and a very few others. Hopefully Vance gets it.
It seems like he does, but it's still a little early to tell. It's still a little early to tell. We do need to face the fact that once Trump's gone, he's gone, right? Like, Vance is great, but he's just a politician. DeSantis is great, but he's just a politician. Even a good politician is still just a politician. Trumps do not grow on trees. What do you do when Trump is gone? This happened to the GOP after Reagan moseyed along. They were just in disarray for years. But I think the difference is there were not great candidates immediately after Reagan. You were stuck with George H.W. Bush. You did have that Pat Buchanan brigade for a minute, but they took that out at the kneecaps. They saw that coming. They were scared. So the GOP fed him to the wolves, right? But you wound up with the reform thing specifically because of that. So, but I don't think the GOP is heading for quite as bad a situation as the GOP was facing in the early 90s, because they've got a deeper bench this time. You have just the duo of Ron DeSantis and JD Vance. You could run either of those guys and be competitive in an election cycle, I think. What do you think, Taryn?
Yeah. You know what? I have to agree.
Yeah. And there's other people too, I guess. I mean, there's if Rand Paul stops behaving like a retard on social media, he could, whatever.
I don't know. I'm kind of burned out on Rand Paul.
You're preaching to the choir. All right. Matthew Hammond, is Sony moving PlayStation back to Japan? It seems like they're pretty disgusted with their Western studios. If Ghost of Yotei winds up being the flop that it has a chance to be, I think you start seeing Sony make some moves. From what I understand, they've already made a statement. Hey, if Ghost of Yotei bombs and something else bombs, I forget what the other game is, And they're both Western games. If both of those games bomb, they're like, we're just going to recede back to Japanese borders, focus on our own market, and then expand. I mean, look, it makes sense. Returning to Japan is a return to fundamentals. So if you have a business that was founded in Japan, you would want to use that as your foundation and then expand outward. That's how Sony Gaming became the juggernaut that it is today. They started out appealing primarily to Japan and then expanded out to America and the rest of the world as those games accrued appeal in those regions. That's the organic way to build your business. Sony kind of relocating to, where did they go? Like Santa Monica or LA or somewhere? They were like in California, right?
Yeah,
Sony
at some
headquarters
point.
relocated to Cal. It was so stupid because your foundation's in Japan. If you're healthy, you're going to do well in the West. Moving your foundation to the West is not going to make the foundation any healthier. It'll just make it shakier. Mercenary X says he thinks that Rinderknecht is a patsy as well. Rinderknecht just wanted to see it all burn. It's about sending a message. Have you seen the NYC Intifada rally? I did see the Antifa rally in New York City. Neville Singham and company are getting what they paid for sure. We already answered this. But yeah, we talked about the Candace stuff earlier, but thank you for that, sir. I went on a little bit of a rant. Go back and refer to the VOD. Hard times make good Star Trek. I call it Picard Cisco next generational theory. We got that to look forward to, right? I hope so. Was there any more that you were reading?
No, not over on Rumble. But if you want me to read a few over here, Modern Minuteman Movement, I have... Oh, well, there it goes.
Whoops, sorry.
I have been doxxed by Chicago Antifa. I take it as a badge of honor.
Godspeed, sir.
See, Stryker, anyone notice how revolutionist leaders are all just cowards who run and hide and leave their mooks to face the music?
Yeah. It's odd you're spearheading a revolution, but it seems like the front line is back in Portland where you were a minute ago. That's odd. Strange. Almost like desertion or something.
Shark dentures. Antifa stands for anti-First Amendment.
I appreciate the wordplay.
Dibbers and Euros will still claim America created this mess.
Yeah. Godspeed. Let me pick one over a little earlier. There we go. Oh, no, this is newer.
I cast knife. Who do you really see winning the post-Trump right-wing schism? The lose with grace rhinos or the MAGAs who want to crush the Dems into the dirt?
I think MAGA's here to stay. The question is, how does it function? And this is an open question. I could not read these tea leaves if I tried. What does MAGA look like without the figurehead of Trump? Because, gang, there are things that Trump was able to get away with, attacks that did not avail against the juggernaut of Trump because of who Trump is. Because Trump had been previously established, and I've talked about this many times in my post-2016 election rant, I talked about this. Some of the accusations against Trump only landed with the far loony left, accusations of fascism and Nazism and all that stuff. They only landed with them and not with the body politic at large because Trump had an established record in public of being a fairly benign but somewhat blustering public figure for 40 plus years. Like, really? The Home Alone 2 guy is a fascist now? Didn't you take money from him one election cycle ago? Like, Nancy Pelosi still has copies of checks from Donald Trump. They were funded by him. He used to be a Democrat, for crying out loud. They only flipped on him once they started losing elections to him. So there were attacks that, make no mistake, did not work against Trump, but would work very, very well against a J.D. Vance, against a Ron DeSantis, as good as they are. So you do have to reckon with that, and we're going to have to reckon with that. So I'm curious to see how it shapes out. You know, JD Vance is great, but JD Vance is just a politician. He's not a pop culture figure with a Q rating higher than the sitting president of the United States, like Trump was. Trump was objectively more famous and well-known than Hillary Clinton when he ran against her. Objectively. That helped him massively. JD Vance doesn't have that. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that actually shakes out. So I kind of can't answer that question. I think Vance and DeSantis are the most likely inheritors. But man, you're not going to get another Trump. That's just an objective fact.
Emperor Soft Turtle. Current state of the McCarthyism lie. Ezra Klein spent an hour in a podcast in cognitive dissonance claiming McCarthy was a lunatic and he had point. McCarthy had more ground than Trump with Antifa.
I have no idea what you're talking about. That was a very oddly worded chat. Ezra Klein was claiming McCarthy was a lunatic. You do hear this from the right sometimes. Like, the right will use McCarthyism as an insult. And it's like, you retards. You absolute retards. This is, you know, entire political wars. And I've said this for years. There are people starting to take up this call, and I'm glad. But I've been saying this for years, you know. Entire political battles are won and lost purely through definition of language, purely through manipulation of language. If you allow the opposition to call themselves progressives, then the implication of that is that they are progressing to a place that we have never been before. And that's just a flat out lie. That's a complete inversion of truth. They're Marxists. They're going somewhere we've been before many, many times, and it ended in a mass grave. It's hundreds of years old, their ideology. There's nothing progressive about it. Absolutely nothing. And that's just one operative example. This happens every single... Look at climate change. How long was that called global warming? Then the temperature trends started reversing. Oh, we'll call it climate change instead. Entire wars are won and lost with language, which is one of the reasons you have to fight for every inch on language. It's almost more important than elections in a way, because you'll win and lose elections because of language. Entire elections have been won and lost due to language. All right. The Ultimate Kahuna. How the hell do you have red show up on camera but not on your skin? Are you a vampire? What is your secret? God damn it. Well, for one, this is very, very red, and no one's skin is that red unless I'm Chief Wahoo from the Cleveland Indians. And they are the Indians, not the damn Guardians. Who has that much red in their skin? What am I, a wino? You want to read that?
Bright High Security. If we are in a new Cold War, will China support coups like the USSR did?
They already have. Look at South America, dude. China has their fingers in every commie pie in that region. Every single one. That's why I always laugh when it's like, whenever something happens in South America, whenever some commie dictatorship is overthrown, even from the right, even from retards on the right, you hear the same refrain. CIA coup. CIA coup. Like, I wish the CIA were that based. Bro, China have been initiating coups for years. Freaking Venezuela, like they're basically propping up and subsidizing that regime right now. Straight up. So yeah, they're up to their nuts in that.
Big Mike. They took my foreskin and fed me Tylenol in the womb. Now I watch Razor Fist.
Many such cases.
Do you think RFK is onto something about autism, and is Maha progressing?
I don't know. I don't know enough about the medical science of it. It is interesting, though. You're not even, whether it contributes to autism or not, Advil and Tylenol in the past have straight out like instructed pregnant women not to take their medication while they're pregnant. So one way or another, ladies, stop taking Tylenol while you're pregnant. Use something that doesn't harm your baby. Like, geez.
A couple more over on Rumble. Sky Shrimp. Too bad Sony gave the Japanese audience the finger years ago. I don't think they're going to get the reception they think they're going to get from Japanese audience. Personally, I hope Sony crumbles.
Yeah, their Japanese games suck too.
And Ruron. Razor, whom at this time is your ideal 2028 GOP presidential candidate? Do you think Carrie Lake will ever run again for office? And what does Vance need to do in your view?
The ideal, I mean, I think the most obvious candidate is clearly JD Vance. He's the person who's been quickest on the uptake. He is so far in advance of like Ron DeSantis, for example, was way slower on the uptake than JD Vance was. Way slower. At this point in the game, like DeSantis was still kind of a stuffed, he still kind of is kind of a stuffed suit. He still comes off that way. So Vance is obviously your guy. Sorry, what was the other part of that question? Do I think Carrie Lake will run again?
Yes.
I think she needs, and yes, I do think one day she's going, because she, make no mistake, she at least won that governor's race. The difference, for those who don't know Arizona politics enough, the difference between her and Katie Hobbs, the woman who ran the election that she won, was 0.2. It was a fraction of a percentage point. One forensic audit would have overturned the result of that election. One forensic audit would have done it. So she's already won at least one election, and she probably won the other one as well. But she's doing the VOA stuff right now. She's doing PBS stuff. She's doing a lot of really, really good work, actually. I think she probably needs maybe next to be in a proper administration position somewhere to elevate her profile, I mean. So that you see like how she handles herself under fire, being questioned by reporters, all that stuff. Because I think some people became dubious on her. It's not really fair. It's not fair at all, actually, because other politicians were not subjected to that scrutiny, especially not politicians who did as well as she did consistently. But I think she needs kind of a sub position next. Like she needs a step up to something a little higher than VOA, whatever that is, whatever cabinet position that represents, or something like that. And then pretty much whatever the next race is, the world will be her oyster. That's my read on it personally.
Blitz Systems, EA will create an American Civil War simulator and tailor the left-right software and microtransactions accordingly. Imagine blue hair power-ups versus Freebird solo.
Yeah. Whittly, woo! All right.
Big Mike, follow-up thoughts on circumcision as Christians.
We have to. I thought we just got done talking about cutting off. No, we're free from the law. That's like, dude, straight up. I'm not full on like antinomian, but that covenant is broken. We don't need to circumcise our kids. We don't need to. That's a prior law. It's the same reason like we're not bound by the Sabbath law and all that. Like that's all a separate thing. If you want to keep the custom of observing the Sabbath and all that stuff, that's your thing, but it is not commanded.
Flint Ironstag, thank you for the 50. I'm very concerned that many of the anti-American conspiracy theories that have infiltrated some on the right are leftists or Chinese psyops to both fracture and poison the right, along with weakening America. What are your thoughts?
I believe so, especially the conspiracy theories around Charlie Kirk. About a week ago, the Epic Times ran a really, really good piece. I'm like tempted to go grab my physical newspaper and read it for you guys. But it's all about how Chinese bot farm activity way spiked in the immediate aftermath of that. And a lot of the accounts were spreading conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk. And here's why that's pertinent. I said earlier, the problem is Candace's audience. It's not Candace. She is captured by her audience. So if she is easily shepherded by audience activity and engagement and revenue and all simultaneous viewer figures and all that stuff, if she gives a shit about that, and she very, very clearly does, then bot activity can control the narrative pretty strongly. And we've seen it again and again that it's clearly happened. I mean, there's so much bot activity on X. It's just putrid. It's unusable sometimes. Absolutely. But the Epic Times ran a really, really good piece about that about a week ago. I highly recommend, if you can get a physical newspaper of that, go get it. It's worth getting. A physical newspaper is actually worth picking up, believe it or not.
Bright Eye Security, any chance you can do a video on the coups?
The coups of what? The coups are the ones I referred to earlier? Well, like okay, I think I know what you're talking about. The South American stuff, like the Chinese back. Yeah, maybe I should. I really am overdue, to tell you the truth, to do a more encapsulatory video on Chinese communism, like Maoism specifically, the history of it, its history as it has crossed over beyond into American borders, into Canadian borders, all of the manipulation they've done of South American and Central American regimes. Like, I'm kind of overdue to do an encapsulatory video like that. Maybe I will do that I've been thinking of doing a proper Chairman Mao video. Like, maybe I'll do that, like a video on the Cultural Revolution and Chairman Mao, and then get into some of that stuff. Because it's sort of hard. It's impossible, really, to honestly talk about one without talking about the other.
Mercenary X, read the Baron Trump and the Last President by Ingle Lockwood. The books is insane with how accurate they are of current events.
What? Thank you, Mercenary X. All right. The only reason why circumcision exists in the United States is because of Kellogg. He created cornflakes and popularized circumcision to stop boys. What? He also never consummated his marriage. Closeted. What? That is quite the rabbit hole. I've never been down that particular one before. I've always taken the Christian view that we are free from the first covenant. So after the sacrifice of Christ and the assumption of Christ, we are no longer bound by that law. Burner YouTube profile. Antifa is actually anti-fascist since fascism's historically been able to crush them. Still, most of them are street trash. The bottom ranks would have drank Kool-Aid to join the Comet years ago. A deep reference. I like that deep cut, that Heaven's Gate cut there. Want to read that?
Cyan. Honestly, if Trump acts as H1B, it will be the biggest opening in the economy ever. Comp Sci is one of the top 3 majors, but also top 3 is unemployment.
You never hear anyone point that out, dude. I know people in computer science who have been out of work for years because some Haji is doing their job that they were doing years ago. I know so many people like that.
Will code for food.
Right.
And the H1s, frankly, aren't that good in general.
Yeah, it's not like
it's always about cheap labor.
It's not high-skilled labor. It's cheap labor. That's it.
Yeah.
And unions are a big part of that. Unions have priced the American worker out of the market too with their commie bullshit. And so the American workers are going to have to take less in some cases. But what that does is it opens up a little bit of upward mobility, which allows the really exceptional employees to make more, which is good. That's a good thing. That lets your economy breathe. And I hear people on the right who are just like, I can't let go of those benefits. I can't let go of the union bullshit. The American Labor Union was founded by communists for communists. There is literally not a single documented historical example of the early labor movement in America that is not connected with global communism. Not one. It is not a matter of the American Labor Union the labor movement was well-meaning and then they turned from the bullshit. If anything, they started out explicitly communist and then kind of learned how to hide their commie bullshit as they went on. Like it's nothing we should be messing with. Unions are just a cancer. They're a cancer. What little benefit you accrue from them, you lose in other ways. John Orchard, not to worry, I live in Texas. We can meet at the gun range. We believe in practice. Godspeed.
Mercenary X. I hope Hassan will be visiting the Marie Antoinette Museum.
Let them eat cuck.
Sea Striker, there are very few legions of doom. Bad guys always give themselves nice sounding names to straw men, dissenters.
Yeah. Godspeed,
Yazur
afuera, sir.
Afuera.
Yeah. If
Intrinsic
Chris
Dark.
Chappell isn't busy, let's have him. We do need to have Chris Chappell on from China Uncensored. It'd be freaking great. Lapco, I firmly believe 50,000 years ago, humans were an advanced spacefaring civilization. Then we put women in charge, and the destruction was so complete, it took thousands of years to get copper tools and written language back. It's a sci-fi novel waiting to be written. Want to read that?
Jegs Dino God, funny how entertainment companies and public corporations who use the Marx value of labor pricing theory flounder, but going private tends to work out.
Right? It's odd how that works.
Cyan, Taryn reminds me the whole Iran strikes. Know what would have explained the U.S. intervention? $1 trillion from Saudi Arabia. Mercenary
that's another thing. Like all the focusing on us being a bitch of Israel, I feel like the talking point, which is an accurate talking point, that we are often the bitches of Saudi Arabia has really fallen by the wayside. And I'm always cautious of any narrative that sort of supervenes to the extent that another true narrative takes a massive backseat. You always have to be a little vigilant to that. The B+ in studies still counted as a failing grade. Godspeed.
Star Phoenix, good news for the left. Trump's not running in 2028. Bad news for the left. Trump's not running in 2028. MAGA probably gets inherited by Vance.
Probably. Or DeSantis, maybe. Someone like that. That's a 1-2 punch, man. That's a 1-2 punch. 2028 is definitely going to be a bloodbath between DeSantis and Vance. And I don't know who will win in that situation. I'm hoping after DeSantis licking his wounds, like he's going to be a prize fighter in 2028. He's going to be ready to brawl. And I'm hoping for the Floridians' sake who like DeSantis that he comes out swinging and gives a good account of himself because I think he'd be a great president.
Lithium Man, genuine question. Where the hell does China even get the money?
From our Walmarts. We fund our own destruction. We are the largest consumer market in the world. And they sell all their cheap lead-lined crap to us.
Cyan, we use it till they rename Bureau of Indian Affairs. Generic name here, Menudo for the 7th.
What is 70s pop music going to help us? What the?
Shadow Gamble, hello everyone. Just got back from handbell choir at church. Any thoughts on the theories about General Patton's death after World War II?
My church has started doing handbell choir too. I believe General Patton was probably killed. That situation was so suspicious. He was way too vocal and anti-communist. Forrestal was killed around the same time. McCarthy was killed shortly after that. I've long suspected that General Patton was killed. And when they interviewed the two GIs who had nearly crashed right into him and resulted in his death, they were laughing about it. They were like snickering to themselves. And it was so damn sus, that entire situation, the entire death of George. Look that up if you have the time sometime, Taryn, because that is a suspicious situation. That's a video I should make.
Some Shambler, as the guy that constantly mentions China in his supers, I'm very happy with current news. Does this mean we'll actually see more appropriate moves against them now, or will this be a slow burn?
I still think it's going to take a while to shake the cobwebs off. But you know what? If you jump from not having classified Antifa as a foreign terror organization to classifying them as one, it is impossible to pull on that string and not have it wind up somewhere in Beijing. So you're going to naturally start being a bit of a bull in a china shop at some point. It's going to be impossible not to intercede on some kind of bullshit.
Jegs Dino God want to get rid of bots? Ban India from the internet.
Right? Bot spelled B-A-T.
Baldbarian. The Indians my grandfather pitched for. The Indians.
Your grandfather pitched for the Cleveland Indians? Or for the Navajo?
Happy Dingbat. What do you think of a Battletech / Mech Warrior game set during the Periphery Uprising, a Mars Civil War, and early days of the clans? Do you think it would be worth it?
Bring me the script. No, I'm all for that, dude. I just think there need to be more Battletech and Mech Warrior games in general. That's how Warhammer 40K didn't used to be shit. They grew to the size they are because they just kept shitting product out. Like, it's as simple as that. That's how they wound up growing. Battletech and Mech Warrior was like, dude, we had a stretch there of like 15, almost 20 years of just nothing. Just absolutely nothing. And now we're getting a little bit of a trickle, but still there's a long gap between games, between what there should be comics, there should be t-shirts, there should be video games, there should be constant releases of video games. I don't care if some of it is slop. Just keep this damn brand alive. And please don't let Piranha make it.
Captain Pipsqueak. Even without the communism, the main incentive for incorporated unions is dues.
Yeah.
They'd see thousands of workers laid off before losing $1 and have.
Absolutely. 100%.
ICAST Knife. We won't get another Trump until Junior, Eric, or Bannon. Or sorry,
Barron. Right.
Race Bannon.
And, you know, I could see Donald Trump Jr. being a bit of a contender, you know, so I absolutely see that.
Rifleman. Razor, don't forget. New York State Attorney General Letitia James was indicted by a grand jury today for bank fraud.
Dude, it is so hard to keep up with all these stories, man. I went over the news with a fine-tooth comb and I still knew I was missing stuff. Good catch.
Big K Movies and Games. The new Predator is PG-13. This film is going to flop.
What in the... Dude, what is the point of a PG-13 horror movie? I ask you. What is the point?
Emperor Soft Turtle. French government is collapsing because it can't afford rent and its vacations. Froggy don't have bribe money like China, who is willing to go into debt 10 times over.
I have a feeling they're about to get a few extra million from Candace Owens pretty soon here. We'll see.
Speedy Cake. I'd kill for a Mech Warrior Online 5 style Zoids game.
Zoids game? Oh, that means
Zoids was an old giant robot show. Was that early 2000s? Something like that?
Never watched it.
BJ Chester, can Trump end the Ukraine war? Hey, one thing at a time.
One thing at a time, but yes, dude, if he can get Israel and Palestine to calm the hell down, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Remember, this started under Biden. This whole thing, this is a mess of Biden's that Trump is cleaning up right now.
It doesn't help that all of Europe is baying for blood.
Yep. Also doesn't help. But Ukraine is a Biden mess, and Israel-Palestine is a Biden mess. I mean, it's a long-standing mess. It's not just Biden, but it kicked off under Biden. This is a lot of cleanup that we're witnessing right now. And what's crazy about this is, dude, he's still gotten some stuff accomplished, despite having to spend so much time and devote so much energy to just clean up on aisle 3, right?
Generic name here. Have you seen the utterly heinous Virago running to replace Newsom?
Oh.
If I cringed any harder, I'd turn into a gravitational singularity.
Oh, did you see that?
No. Who's
that
trying to replace
great
Newsom?
big fat commie cow who couldn't answer the soft balliest of questions about anything at all. She's apparently the front runner running to replace Gavin Newsom, as he's clearly got his eye on the presidency.
She sounds like a nobody. Who the fuck is this?
Well, and she's been a long-standing clown too, a long-standing clown. But no, that's another thing we didn't get to talk about today. We're trying to get through these super chats right now because we've been going for 3.5 hours because this stream is insane. Thank you, guys.
I cast knife. I learned which teachers I couldn't trust in middle school when they celebrated Obama's win, and I turned a blind eye to the anti-white beatdowns after.
Indeed.
Ramon Jules. There's Lucian and some of the background NPCs in Lumiere, but the main cast, except for Loon, is white. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. There's hardly any brown people in that game.
Atari. If you ever stream with Charlie Chappell, you two should play Infra and Open Sewer, its sequel. Interesting premise and story, especially Infra, that they're both interesting games. I've never heard of them.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I want to say play a Fallout or something, but the only good ones are single player.
Sonny Crockett. Sonny Crockett, not Sony Crockett.
Right.
I never got anywhere in CS because of all this. That's why I'm joining ICE to fight the invasion and to get payback against the Patels.
Godspeed. Cash Patel.
You're gonna get payback?
I don't know.
I'm not sure what he means by that.
You
Mercenary.
had 2 shares in EA before that. You did? That's wild.
Rob, look up Lindsey Graham's bottom skin tags, which he refers to as his little ladybugs.
Thanks for that.
Yeah,
I hadn't puked today. I appreciate you taking care of that. Another item on the itinerary checked off. Appreciate it.
Bass player, did you guys see the Timu priest that got smited by a pepper ball? I did see that.
Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
Like a woke Episcopal priest, whatever the hell. I think he's Episcopal. What a clown. What a clown. Well, play stupid games, get stupid prizes.
Ian, can we finally admit we're in a Cold War? Who the hell doesn't? Anyone paying a lick of attention has known that for decades.
Sadly, a number of people.
Crew Kid, downstate New York State resident here. Big Tish getting indicted is a top 5 moment in state history.
I mean, she knew what she was getting into. The kind of flagrant lawfare that she engaged in and the baldness of the corruption involved in it. There was no way there was not going to be blowback if Trump got in office. There was just no way. It was too much of a doubling, tripling, quadrupling down. She knew. She knew this is baked in the souffle. She's too stupid to know that it was the most likely result, but she knew. That's another reason there's such abject defiance from, Comey and Letitia James and such is, that they really did think this through at the beginning in a weird way. They didn't think it was the most likely result. They thought they were going to win. They thought Kamala was getting into office. They thought they could cheat that hard. And they did. That's another part you need to appreciate. They cheated hard to get Kamala into the White House, and it still wasn't enough.
And Demas, so are we getting a new Most Wanted deck of cards, Antifa edition?
I don't know what that is.
Bumcrack Jones, I want to see China get its own Stuxnet on the Three Gorges Dam.
Huh?
Jex Dino God, sorry I'm late, was in the gun store, so I have an excuse. If Antifa is a foreign terror group, does that mean it's open season or what? Asking for a friend.
It means they certainly can be reported anytime they're active and visible on site.
Elf Finder General. I'm not surprised commies would pick certain days to commit certain acts. Every
Right.
religion has its holy days.
Right? Especially May Day being their holy day.
Bass player. Most of the Weather Underground leaders went on to become professors or teachers.
Yep.
Also, National Lawyers Guild needs to be dismantled.
Dude, watch my McCarthy video. Some of the names that I listed, I was only able to give kind of a cursory primer on some of these people. If you look through like some of the people at the Institute of Pacific Relations and the other commie front groups that helped serve Taiwan up on a silver platter, a lot of these people, like a preponderance of them, wound up being college professors. A ton of them. You wonder why our college system is so awash in and that's another curious thing is the Soviet Union spent a lot of money on American universities, but here's a curious fact. China, even while struggling with mass starvation and shit, this was one of the few areas that China spent on in US borders. China spent money on US education and on universities. We're talking 60s, 70s, like years ago, before they turned into the monolith that they are today. Also, we're not in the middle of a Cold War with China. We're in the middle of a hot war with the Canaanites. All right, here we go.
Cesario News. IRS to cut up to 50% of the workforce in second week of government shutdown. U.S. citizens. And we're supposed to feel sympathy for this? How?
And they're like furloughed. They're not even fired. They should be fired. They should be fired. We don't need that many IRS agents. We shouldn't have a government big enough to necessitate that many.
Eric, now that they're considered foreign terrorists, could they be brought back to America to face charges?
They'll have to be. They could be extradited. Absolutely. In fact, I believe the Veritas guy was asking them that question specifically. Yes, 100%. They absolutely could. Azure Nightmare, thoughts on David Zhang and China? Seen a little bit of his stuff. I like it. Seen a little bit of his stuff.
Zerp derp, if China invaded Taiwan, then what's the over-under of all Antifa and Iranian terror cells being activated at once to cause chaos and prevent U.S. intervention of Taiwan? And how well would that work?
It's tough because we don't have a historic example, right? We never had a full invasion of the Soviet Union while we had these domestic terror cells operating within our borders. It never really happened. We got some very blatant examples of Soviet agents stealing military secrets, giving them the bomb and all this stuff. Like we had some examples of that, but we never had a situation where we were flat out invading the Soviet Union and then we were in danger of having those cells activate. If we had direct military action against China in some way, even if it was just defensive, just being in the Taiwan Strait, shooting down missiles or whatever, in my opinion, it would be advisable to be rounding up Antifa members and shit beforehand and known members of Chinese communist cells, of which there are many. There are a lot. It would be advisable. That would be step one in some kind of military act, assuming it was some kind of hot war situation, because in a normal hot war, that would be one of the first things that you would do against a belligerent, well-funded power.
Andrew McGraw, communist, try not to be massive hypocrites challenge level impossible. Carneckle, Blackburn, leftist Democrat, possibly Antifa, started the Palisades fire, was arrested this morning or last night. Jonathan, asshole.
Right. I like that. We'll call him that from now on.
Potato Radio. Remember Trotsky and Intern founded Antifa?
Antifa.
Yeah, Antifa. For the internationalists versus National Socialist turf war.
Yep. Antifa, the earliest Antifa was involved in the Reichstag fire. and led directly the negative blowback from the German people to that was a big contributor in the ascent of Adolf Hitler.
Norm Al Mann. Is a long-term vacation to Guantanamo on the table for these guys?
Right?
Lithium Man. I just learned that Linda Ronstadt apparently dated Governor Jerry Brown in the 70s.
I believe it. I had no idea of that, actually, and never heard that before now, but that's great.
Gigi Evan. When Hassan shocks his dog, the Israelis get their hostages back. Just goes to show God has a sense of humor.
Did you just see all the fake news accounts who were like, they've already broken the ceasefire, the peace is already broken, and whatever, within an hour of the announcement? And it turned out not true.
Emperor Creatine. Here's the latest from Daily Gondor. Steward of Gondor to officially designate orcs at gates of Minas Tirith as invading army by Bomber Silvergrab.
Bomber Silvergrab! Silvergrab, my favorite little bit of Tolkien lore. The dwarves are modeled, their language and everything, they're the Jews. All they do is live underground and dig for gold, and their language is modeled after Hebrew. It's freaking genius. And they're the coolest race in Lord of the Rings. What did Tolkien mean by that? How hilarious would it have been if John Rhys Davies is Gimli? Because he basically got to define what the dwarves were.
Yeah.
If he decided to go, Oy vey, O Aragorn Goyim. You've got my axe, you one, I should say. My goodness, hamana. Let's go over to Mordor and cut off Sauron's dick.
But let's stop off for a little nosh at the.
Just look. Let's have a little Kanesh before we go, Elrond. That's all I'm saying. My goodness.
The elves are having a sale on Lambda spread.
Besides, I think the fatality figures over there in Mordor are a little exaggerated. 6 million, 5 million. What does it matter? My goodness.
Intrinsic Dark, you realize what you started, yes? The Islam playbook is to move as many families into an area. Oh, you skipped it. Fuck.
Sorry, I had to highlight this.
It does not merely schlep into Mordor.
Oh no! Oh, what have we done? What have we done? Oy vey, even.
Buy up basic businesses, outbreed locals, get into power, and institute Sharia law. Yep. This is how it happened in Dearborn.
Yep.
BG Chester, do you think Trump can...
I kind of already answered this.
Oh, okay.
But thank you, sir. I thought we defeated communism in Vietnam. No, we defeated communism with the fall of the Berlin Wall. And it really was defeated for a minute. It truly was. And then we started being kissing cousins with the Chinese. The Clinton administration basically strapped the pedals to communism's chest and brought it back from the dead. Al Gore specifically, he was getting an HJ from Beijing the entire Clinton presidency. He sold our nuclear secrets to communist China. Like, they basically revived China and all of global communism back from the dead.
Done. Ever consider a collab with the fat electrician? He hates communism almost as much as you do.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I don't think his podcast hosts, I don't know if it's him, I don't think they're fans.
Jags Dinogod, MMO FPS combined arms mech warrior game like PlanetSide 2, please.
It would be cool.
I'd be down for that. Cyan, as a brand new Quest 3 owner, any recommendations?
LA Noir VR is really good.
Yeah. Elite Dangerous.
Oh yeah, dude, Elite Dangerous. If you like flight sims and you have a good stick and like you want to go all out, dude, DCS. It's amazing.
The Southern Gentleman. Do you like any of the Brendan Fraser Mummy films? The first
I
one was
do,
great.
dude. I do like them, and actually, fun story. I was at Universal Studios and got to see some of the sets of that when it was being filmed. That was the big thing, was they're going to reboot the Mummy franchise, right? On the big Universal Studios tour, they were showing us all the they showed us like miniatures and stuff too that they were making. This is why like everybody's all about Universal Studios Florida. Fuck that place, dude. The Universal Studios Hollywood is where it's at. Why would you go to Universal Studios if it's not in Hollywood? Go to the place where the damn studios are.
Baldbarian. Mel Leroy Harder, my grandfather. Look him up.
Oh, sweet. Be
Kaya.
hilarious. It'd be hilarious if I had a baseball card of him. I have a pretty big baseball card collection, actually.
Hi, I'm Kaya the dog. I'm currently streaming with my owner, Hassan, but I'm tired of sitting in the same place for 12 hours. I think I'll move around a bit. I'm sure nothing bad will happen.
This is, I think Taryn has a similar inner monologue actually during our streams.
Yeah. Hey, can I go to the bathroom?
Right.
What, again?
Again? Right. TV's Hank?
You hear South Korea's government lost all their files?
Wow, isn't that wild? Right after a closet communist takes over? Weird.
Intrinsic Dark based logic on YouTube is great. Gives a TRDL on leftist progressives, their Gnostic beliefs, and much more. Folks should definitely sub to the channel.
You heard the man?
Trash Kitty. Most wanted cards were playing card decks given out in OIF Iraq to find the top bad guys. Stuxnet was the malware that disabled Iran's nuke computers, and Science Gear about a decade ago. Big Mike. Today marks 9 years since Trump's legendary debate with Hillary. Because you'd be in jail.
Because you'd be in jail.
That's right around the time I discovered your channel.
Dude, what a colossal... People remember that debate so fondly because of the quotable moments, but I remember the context of it, right? Because that's what made it brilliant. They had just had the first debate, which I thought Trump did well in, but the whole media gaslit everyone into, oh, Trump was terrible. Trump sucked in it. It was awful, whatever. And then right after that debate, he did so bad that they leaked the Access Hollywood tape. And at that point, I was like, oh, shit. Trump's going to go off in this debate because now he's got nothing to lose. They're trying to take his whole business, his whole career. They're trying to take everything from him. That's what leaking this tape is about. They have now raised the bar so much that he can't do anything in this debate but come out swinging. And he jumped on stage and tore Hillary Clinton's throat out in front of a live studio audience. He destroyed that woman. And it was entirely because they basically took away every incentive he had to handle her with kid gloves. The first debate, that was the version of Trump that his people wanted him to be. Subdued and calm and, not talking over her as much and whatever, right? That was the version of Trump that his campaign staff wanted him to be. After that Access Hollywood tape, it was like, fuck this. I am going to tear this woman's throat out. And he did. That's why I remember that debate. It was brilliant. You remember your reaction to that debate? Did you watch it?
Oh, yeah. I fucking loved it. I was actually laughing.
It was funny. My dad, I was over at his place, and I'm watching it on one TV across the house, and he's watching it on another TV across. I don't know why. I think it's because I was eating. I was across the house, and every time Trump would have a wicked line, my dad would come out and be like, holy crap, you won't believe what he said. Like he was given play-by-play every time. It was genius, dude. It was so genius.
Sergeant Shitlord, when did the Cold War end? I didn't hear the bell ring.
Right. I didn't hear no bell ring. You never got me down. You never got me down.
The Cowled One, thank you for the 20. Speaking of Battletech, have you ever watched Science Insanity's lore videos? And if so, how accurate are they? I recently learned how inaccurate most lore YouTube videos for Warhammer 40K are, and I wonder if this is a similar case.
No, I'm not sure. I know Tex knows his stuff because I've had conversations with Tex, and he's an old head and a gray beard. He's a big Battletech fan, so I know he's not bullshitting, and I've never caught a big error in any one of his videos. I'm sure they're there. Everybody makes mistakes, but so he's good. Big Red 40K is great. I've never caught any major problems. Grimdark Narrator makes great Battletech lore videos, but I've never seen that particular lore channel, so I couldn't speak to it specifically.
BJ Chester, how would a hot war with China not go nuclear?
Because China wouldn't benefit from it. And in fact, the opposite would happen. But I don't see them, as long as we have enough assets in the area to prevent them. I don't see it happening. The only way I see China pulling the trigger is if they are 100% persuaded that they could take Taiwan so fast that the US couldn't even respond. Like that Japan couldn't immediately fire missiles and knock their missiles out of the sky or something. That's the only way I could see it happening. And I kind of have a hard time envisioning that scenario. If they believe that, I think the Chinese generals are huffing hopium.
Burner YouTube profile. Most wanted cards were for the military. For example, Saddam was King of Hearts, I think.
Yeah. Interesting. I did not know about. I had a friend who's a multi-Iraq war veteran. Never told me that.
Mercenary X.
Shorting silver is how banks make money. Yes. Thoughts on the TV show Forged in Fire. Never seen it. Don't know what the... Oh my gosh. My cousin Avi will give us a warm welcome. Maltin Minishev. I don't know how that is pronounced. Minshevies. Bagels. Kosher meat right off the bone. No pork, though. No pork. We would have to change that. Oh, salted pork line. That would have to change. Oh, fresh kishka. My goodness. Is that kosher? What is that? Thank you, sir. And Big Mike. Look, I'm not an anti-dwarfite, but isn't it odd they all called in sick the day of the Battle of Helm's Deep? I think I saw a few dancing in Rohan. Yes. All right, folks. This has been a legendary stream, but of course, we're going to have another one next week. We will not make you wait for another offensive quite so long. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the last couple of weeks, but folks, this was glorious. But until next time, for Terrangel, I am a Razor Fist. Godspeed.